The VTuber I watched play VLR kept laughing at her outfit the whole
Why?
fucking
Like,
game.
because it's so bad. Like,
Oh
even
no,
when
it's
After 5
definitely
played
really
it,
bad.
like, we literally just called her Pebbles when After 5 was streaming it.
Oh my god, so yeah, it's the same joke where she was like, let's yabba dabba do it, Clover.
Yeah, like, like After 5 called it her Unga Bunga clothes. Like, it's like, yeah, it's a whole thing.
It really looks like Flintstones cosplay.
It does! It does!
Extremely good. Oh yeah, you're gonna
What?
Just that you got the VTuber going.
Oh
too.
yeah, like look.
It is gonna be a little weird not having us.
Yeah, like y'all got to get one made now, I guess.
We could get pings.
Oh,
You could do ping tubers. That's what Sayara's
We could
gonna
get
do.
pings.
Sayara's making that ping tuber thing work really well.
Cool. Is that something that you can finesse on your end, like having
Easily.
our audio feed into a thing?
Basically, what it is
Okay,
that
good to know.
like Sayara put it in the mod channel Discord that shows you how to do it. It's really easy. You just need 2 images, and then it'll give you a browser link that you send to me, and then I resize you in the window and put you in. So,
Oh, cool!
yeah,
All right,
it just goes off your Discord audio.
Duly
It's
noted.
fine.
cool. Oh, that's so neat.
But yeah, like I'm gonna use this dumb thing every time I stream. Basically, like I had it put together. Like, why not?
Hell yeah! Fucking love it.
I got a microphone today. I'm professional.
Oh shit! Yeah, because we're doing radio.
We're doing radio now, so I've got a Shure SM58. That's the mic of choice, like and coming out of a blue snowball. It's great. I'm an audio engineer. You can tell.
Wait, don't you? Wait a minute. So you're still using the blue snowball?
I'm using
right?
the blue snowball, but the image on screen is a Shure SM58.
Okay. Oh well, I knew that. I knew that was the image on screen. Like I'm not.
Oh, of course.
No, my way around a mic.
I mean, God. I mean, it's phallic shaped, so of course you'd know your way around it.
I'm so dumb. I was like, why does the VTuber mouth not match Polly? And I realized it's because the stream is delayed. It's muted for me.
I mean, I could put my VTuber in the Discord camera.
No.
But I'm not
That's
going to do
fine.
it. No. Like, it's a very easy option to set.
I was just like, oh no, it's glitching out. It's
No, it's fine. Like, the best part...
I'm just stupid.
So the best part about doing a longer form podcast now is I'm learning to talk with a new bit of a mouthpiece. I got some new mouth gear. And, like, what I didn't tell anybody was that the first day that I had it, like, it was triggering my gag reflex like crazy. So every time I would be talking in the middle of a sentence and just be like, yeah, so I was out mowing the yard. And I was just gagging myself. And I'm just like, if that happens during a podcast, it's going to be the best thing. Like, and you leave that shit in. Leave it in, because it's funny. But just, like, the way it kept happening, like, just innocuous sentences of just, like, yeah, so I'm going to make myself a sandwich.
I thought Polly liked sandwiches.
I
Apparently
love
not.
sandwiches.
Sandwiches.
So that's your randomly fun trivia. That and today I figured out
What would be the worst thing? What would be the worst things to start? The worst words to like gag in the middle of?
Oh,
Be say I love you.
Yeah, like
Fellatio.
it's definitely a confession of love. Like, you are the most beautiful person to me. No one brings more light to my life than you. I love you so much. Yeah, something like that maybe.
Don't do any marriage proposals for the next couple days. Just play it safe, or definitely do them if you.
No, like, look, you're talking to the person that put the Excite Bike theme on when they got someone off. You know what you're dealing with here.
Yep. Life is good. Missed y'all.
It's been, it's been a little bit since we've been together.
It really has.
It's been another month. Can you imagine? Imagine the audacity of Rhett to delay my podcast for an entire month with dental problems. Can
It was me for 1 week.
What kind of asshole makes their friends wait to get together to do a podcast. And it's like, I have dental problems. I'm Rhett. Wow. What a gigantic asshole. You know I love you. Right? Of course you
Right.
do. Yeah. Yeah.
Wait, were you doing a bit there?
Kind of.
Like
I
a
don't
bit
know
that
where
has
the
to do with
bit
all of your
ends and
past.
starts.
The
It's
bit
probably-
is that I literally put the podcast on hiatus for a month because I fucking had my teeth pulled. That's
it
the
has to
bit.
do-
And then
so-
Rhett made us take a week off because he broke a tooth and he couldn't talk. That's the bit, John. Yeah, for somebody who has spent the last 2 weeks sending me DM after DM of Norm Macdonald comedy, you have grasped nothing.
Well, now the bit is that you earnestly believed I didn't recognize the joke there. after you had been out with dental
I was
stuff
just
for a
trolling
month.
you guys. Yeah, that's how that works. I know.
Pranked you. You're so
Prank-
pranked.
Yeah, you're so prank nerd. I got you. You took it hook, line, and sinker. You guys thought I was serious? Yeah.
Oh, that's what, oh my god, we're so many layers deep now. We're like 4 layers deep. I'm lost. It's like the cliffs in Inception. I'm falling.
How do we dig ourselves back out of this?
You do the intro.
I do the intro. Hey everybody, welcome to
Okay.
Sockscast episode 143. Been a while, but we're back up in your grill with all that good Sockscasty stuff. I'm doing good. I bet my co-hosts are doing good. People out in chat look like they're doing good. So it's all good. This is going to be the good episode. We're due for one, I think.
We're getting dangerously close to 150.
I thought like if we hadn't taken all this time off, we would have actually probably hit 150 right before Game of the Year stuff. So,
Aw.
Yeah.
but so we're actually going to hit 150 early next year sometime. So that'll be fun.
That's fine.
Yeah. The longer that number stays below 200, the less old we all have to feel, I think.
Don't worry, I still feel nice and cherubic.
You look nice and cherubic as well.
Oh,
Like-
Oh no,
Like-
Polly, I think you're looking pretty good right now.
What do you mean?
Aw.
Look at me. Like, do I? This doesn't play very well for an audio podcast.
But you are streaming
But
something.
But when I'm streaming, we'll talk about it. I want to save
Okay,
that. We'll
okay.
talk about it. We'll just say that if you're here for the live show, you obviously know what the deal is, and you know what's going on in the video feed. But if you're listening to the audio and you were not here last night for things that happened that may be a little too silly to explain, well, we will be explaining them in a segment later. I think it's worth a segment of going over how
Okay.
all that came together.
I think that's a great idea. I think there's something from last night we really need to dig into before we do anything else.
Oh, what's that? What's that, John?
So somebody asked who would win in the fight between John and Rhett.
Oh,
and you
yeah.
just said,
Yeah, Rhett
you
would
said,
beat
like,
your
matter
ass.
of factly-
Rhett would beat your ass.
Really?
Yeah,
Really
I think
now?
he would.
I'm
Okay, we did-
crazy.
Rhett, we did like just figure out like you're like a good chunk shorter than me. Like we did. I'm not saying that's all of it. We did figure that out.
Uh-huh.
So you know,
I'm the
that's
crazy.
part of
I'm
it.
the crazy little scrappy one.
Yeah,
who
like,
just
he's got that-
knifes out of nowhere.
He's got feist. He's got that feist in him. Yeah, like I just kind of think. Yeah.
It's like GGO.
Did you want to counter that point though, John? Like, do you think that you could take Rhett and like just straight up one-on-one melee combat?
I don't really have a lot of faith in my like melee combat abilities or bloodlust. It really is just like I am a large mass.
And a large ass.
I am a large, and that too, but also it's a large body, and I feel like I just kind of fall on people a lot of the time. That could make a strong impression.
See, like all the images I've ever seen of you, you seem wiry. You don't seem like you take up a lot of mass.
Yeah, I mean it's more height, but there's some chunk there. I feel like I could just I feel like that plays a factor, you know.
Maybe.
Beating her with he's the glob glow capitalist. Taylor backing me up.
There you go.
I don't know. I don't have a strong read there. I was just a little offended how quickly you got to that read.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Rhett.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it's probably fair. I could have probably sussed that out a little more. Maybe. I could have maybe thought it out more. But I think in my heart of hearts that, like, Rhett just fucking buries your ass.
Damn.
Just. Yeah. Yeah. I think that's where I'm at.
Okay.
Heard you talking shit about VTubers.
Yeah, there you go. To my immediate virtual right, he stabbed John in his ruff. Now he cannot pee. It's Rhett.
What?
It's the dumbest lyric I heard last week. I do New Music Fridays. I listen to new things, and there was this rapper, and he's named Zilla Kami, and I only just got the pun on his name, despite having heard of the guy for...
It was like a day later, and I went, "Oh, Kami means God."
Yeah! So his name's Zilla Kami, and I've seen the guy's name around a lot. I never really investigated him any. But he put out a new album, and I gave it a spin just because, why not? In the middle of it, I'm like, oh, Godzilla! And then he goes, and then, like, literally seconds later, he calls himself Godzilla in a song. I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, I'm smart. But yeah, like, one of the first lyrics to the fucking album is, I stabbed him in his ruff. Now he cannot pee.
That's what I would do to John.
Yeah,
You
would stab him in his ruff. For some reason, you can't say penis, but you can say all the other bad words, which is weird. Look, man. I pulled these introductions out of the ether. They're gonna go completely sideways.
Whoa!
Sometime.
Why did she have introductions in her?
Pardon?
Why did Ether have introductions in her?
That's a good point.
Lewd.
My, how lewd. Alright. To my immediate virtual left, he's still trying to figure out what his favorite Death Grips album is. It's John Thayer.
Hi.
John, did you figure it out yet?
I've only listened to Money Store. Sorry.
It's really good. The Money Store's good.
It is really good.
I like it.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think I did Ex-Military like once or twice, but the Money Store was the one I like connected with for a good while.
Yeah,
I haven't listened in a while though.
Yeah. That's cool. So how you feeling, John?
Significantly better than last week.
Yeah, we've not had podcasts for a while because, people been having the feel bads. Been a month since we've last been together, and it's just been kind of rough.
I probably will not leave this one feeling like extreme, like, social antipathy.
Yeah.
Like, even after the fun Guardy Party streams, there's a layer of just like, I hate everyone on this planet, especially myself.
Yeah,
we're like,
we're gonna wipe all that negative energy away because you're here among friends now. You're gonna have a good time. It's gonna be great.
Yay!
Yeah. So, who wants to get the shindig started?
Me.
I'll let you. Okay, I was gonna let you all pick, but you know what? John's. I think of all the people that have had bad things going on for a while, John's probably had it the worst. So if John wants to start driving the newest episode, John, please enlighten us. What you been up to?
Not necessarily say that. I don't know how I would rank school stress against dental issues. Teeth hurt a lot.
Well, Rhett's problem was not really.
It hurts a lot.
Okay, look. Rhett did have a tooth problem, but it was more of the broken tooth is cutting his tongue problem.
Yeah, that sounds bad.
It was pretty bad, Paulie. Like, the night before I bought the mouth guard, I was like, I'm gonna kill myself. This is
as someone who's had like suicide-inducing actual tooth pain,
really.
Like that, and it's a little harder to kind of make that argument to me because it's just it's somebody that's had to deal with like that kind of tooth pain and that kind of mouth pain. So
it was really at the I can't eat because it hurts so much.
Yeah, like that. So that really does
pretty
suck.
Bad.
That does suck. I'm not saying it doesn't. It just reads a little different to somebody who,
Sounds really bad to me.
Yeah, it's understandable.
Okay. But I do really want to talk about video games.
John, so like, Rhett could beat John's ass in a physical fight, and John beats Rhett's ass in the Misery Olympics.
No, I think the school stuff was still worse.
Yeah,
Okay,
that's why he beat your ass in the Misery Olympics.
Right.
Look, I beat Legend of Heroes Trails from Zero.
Yeah, you did! Yeah, you did!
It was a bit of a journey. Like, I kind of started it when I wasn't quite in the right mode for it, I think. So I just kind of kept pecking at it over the course of like 3 months to get through it.
That is not how people typically... Man, seeing the way people attack these games sometimes...
That's how I play Trails FC.
Yeah, like these people... I know people that literally just spend 3 months and play through all 9 games. It's like, how
Trails FC.
How do
Trails
you...
FC took me like 5 years.
Yeah.
So, like, there's a lot to praise about this one. I think the way it sets up its setting is really nice and cool, where it's all built around, like, one very large city that's just constantly, like, changing in, like, little ways throughout the game. Mm-hmm. It's basically always rewarding to go around and talk to people and see the little arcs that, like, it's Trails. Like, there are so many NPCs going through little arcs. And it's really cool how much they stuff into these worlds. I think that's just something I appreciated throughout, was just how much love they poured into that part of it.
Making it feel very lived in.
Yeah. That all the history too, that plays a big part of that. The fighting is the same fighting as the past 3.
Yeah.
There's some mild kind of improvements but you can tell at this point that they're bolting on new things to keep it as fresh as they can, because they really don't want to worry about making a new battle system right now.
Well, luckily I'm sure they'll fix that in like the next couple games.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I'm sure they're gonna just completely reinvent everything.
Yeah, just reinvent the wheel. It's fine.
Mm-hmm. So I feel like that my big takeaway from this one is just the level of like they completely made me fall in love with these 4 characters. Like, just lay that out, like just completely. They do such a nice job with all 4 of them. They all have their own little VN moments of like, and here's my backstory, here's what I've been going through, without it feeling like forced. It's just like, oh, okay, now I love you. I just love I just love Lloyd.
Lloyd is so, man, like, even like Sean Chiplock was doing, and he's the voice of Rain Schwarzer, the dude in Cold Steel. He was talking about Lloyd, and he was just like, man, Lloyd just seems like such a better character than Reen, and I was like, wow.
Oh no,
he's not played them yet, but he's seen how people talk about Lloyd and how people talk about Reen, and the conversation is so vastly different between the 2 protagonists, because like, Lloyd is a certain way and Reen has his own qualities, but like, Lloyd is kind of just like such a good boy.
Yeah.
My God, he is the goodest boy.
Yeah,
it's very tricky, because it's so easy to make that kind of character just completely boring.
Oh yeah.
But he's probably like my favorite Falcom hero boy. Just from my experiences with the series. Obviously, I fucking love Kevin.
Oh yeah. Kevin is still probably top of the pops for me too.
Yeah, I mean, they're probably the favorite just in terms of they have those stories.
Oh, they're really strong.
But in terms of just like being the Falcom hero boy, like, he feels like the culmination of that archetype.
Yeah,
where he's supportive in like very meaningful ways. It's not just that he's there and strong and can beat up the big monster. But he's like, the way he can lend an ear, the way he can say like exactly the right thing,
and it feels natural too.
Yeah, like, it feels like it's a very good it's a good person facing this stuff down in a way that was very nice for me, and it made for a nice force for all these other characters to be bouncing off of throughout the game. I did not expect the game to essentially be like a full-length follow-up to the most gut-wrenching thing in the entire first trilogy.
Yeah.
Like, that's probably my big takeaway, is that they made the whole game essentially like, all right, we're going to close that thread. Enjoy. Like, obviously everything. I mean, they're doing a ton of other stuff,
Yeah.
but most of that other stuff is set up for the next game.
Oh yeah,
basically.
yeah. You can tell that first game is a lot of conflict building.
It's a lot of conflict building, and then the actual meat of the story is closing off this thread.
And
I think
it hits so hard.
It's so good.
It hits so hard. I think a little bit of my brain, the story feels like kind of a pretty small game for being 50 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I'm sure I'm gonna feel a little more of throughout. Throughout the.
Ollie, you keep making me afraid of Cold Steel.
I mean,
it's not my
we should be a
intention.
little
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
There's a lot there, and I engaged in all of it. So that's on me. You don't have to engage with Cold Steel the way that I did. Like, I just did everything, but I don't think that literally everything is necessary.
Yeah. There's definitely a point in these games where, like, the side quests, the support requests are like, okay, I've seen enough of these, I think.
Usually when I get the Grail Locket as a reward, that's my, okay, I'm going to be a little more discerning about which quests I take from now on.
So I feel like that's one more thing, is that when they revealed the nature of the villain, it is immediately feels like a bit cheesy. It feels a little bit anime JRPG.
Very, very contrived.
It feels like, okay, yeah, this is because there's another big bad organization that's different from the one from the first 3 games that's running around doing stuff that's responsible for the big evil stuff in the first game. And also I felt like for like 10 hours there, I thought that they had retconned because just playing Trails 3rd, you don't know that the awful evil door is like part of anything bigger than that. You think it's just like this one big awful thing. But no, it's part of this big other thing, and I thought that they were retconning it to be like, oh, you thought it was that? You thought it was... I mean, do we need to be coy?
I mean, we probably don't know. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, there's a major plot turn in Trails 3rd that has to do with child sex trafficking.
Yeah, they go there.
They go there very hard. And it hits really hard. And I thought that they were retconning that to be like, no, this is just evil experiments.
Because they did retcon that out of the EVO versions. They made that door significantly shorter, and they excised pretty much most of what was happening there.
Yeah. So I thought that they were retconning it in this one, and I was like, okay, that's okay, whatever. Like, they were trying to replace it with something that was still awful, still like a representation of child abuse, except in more RPG terms. Yeah, if that makes sense. Yeah. But they didn't.
No,
actually,
they don't back away.
Nope, it deals with like it's a very normal Falcom JRPG climax.
Yeah.
And it's a very normal Falcom JRPG story, except that the core of it is this nugget. The emotional core of the center is, oh yeah, these people are responsible for child sex trafficking. And that, and they just kind of go head on with that, and all of the big JRPG catharsis is built on that. And it's built on that very real, awful thing. And all the political commentary, like there's a lot of that stuff too, like having politicians be culpable. That hits hard now.
Oh boy, yeah, like that stuff still prescient in present day. Imagine that being prescient in 2021.
So this was like the deal with Trails for me is that they feel like these very like pretty almost scrubbed clean, like nice Falcom games, but each game will still have that nugget of like real pain.
Something that makes you squirm or makes you ugly cry for a bit.
Yeah, like it's the everything playing out with the Joshua and Estelle's relationship in SC, and then everything with Kevin in third, and now everything with this character.
Yeah.
So like, I feel like that's what grounds these and makes them feel, kind of elevates them up from a little bit of what they could be, which is big dumb JRPG. And I really appreciate that.
Could be a Tales of game. Hi-yo!
It could be a Tales of game. It could be Xenoblade. Like, it goes just that little bit harder, and I really appreciate that.
Yeah.
I felt fucking exhausted by the end of this game. I was so done. I was so ready for it to be over.
Yeah.
I was in the final boss, and I was like, and then my controller disconnected, and I had to restart the game and play through the first fight. And it only took like 5 minutes, but I was like, I took a shower, like, I'm so fucking done. Do I actually want to go through the rest of this?
I think I lost on the final boss. I was just like, oh, okay. When it highlights those squares, you really, really cannot be on them.
No, get off.
I thought they were going to be out of the battle for the rest of the battle. So when I lost 2 of them, I was like, well, that's the ball.
I mean, that's what they do in SC.
And that's doing SC.
Yeah.
The 2 of the fucking characters being like, oh, this guy seems even harder than even stronger than the SC villain. And no, your levels are lower. His HP is lower. It's not as intense as the SC final boss. That's okay. It's the first game in the series. Come on. Don't fucking try to pull stakes. Pull
the
my
JRPG.
lie to me. I'm pretty done with the I was a little spent on the fighting. And it's just, I think my deal with Trails moving forward is just recognizing like it's a very good game shape. Like the language they built is very strong. The battle system is fun and like the stat changes feel meaningful. Your choices feel very meaningful. It's not like Xenoblade where there's 200,000 stats.
200,000 stats and like
a billion crafting systems.
You get plus 200 in one stat, and it's like, I guess I'm doing 3 more damage in a game where I regularly do 1 million fucking damage.
So that just on a numbers level, this feels way stronger. Falcom. Falcom
just being really smart at what they do.
Yeah. But like I feel like what's happening with me is that each game is taking me on a new narrative journey, and then it's taking me on the same game journey every single time. And that's the part that I'm kind of tired with, and that's why I'm very eager to kind of spread. I kind of accepted like, okay, I might not be the kind of person that wants to exhaustively play the gamographies, the discographies of all the musicians I like, that read every book by an author I like. I might be the kind of person that just likes getting a wider sampling, and I don't need to play 3 Trails games a year until I catch up. I can just go at my own pace, and I can do that with every game series I like. And I think that was where I was at by the end of that. Like, well, I can't keep playing these.
It's getting yourself out of that
every 6 months.
It's getting yourself out of that idea that games are an obligation, and that can still sneak up on you, even when it's something you still try to exercise fully. You can still run into that, and it can be bothersome sometimes because you want to know. It's just maybe I don't want to spend 100 hours knowing right now.
Yeah, exactly.
The length is crazy with those, especially with the way Cold Steel seems to be a little even slower and more stretched out than... It's funny, though. So I finished this game, and it was my game of the year, completely hyped for like what was next. Wasn't like burnt out at all. And then I started Azure, and that's when the combat fatigue fucking kicked me in the teeth. Because it was like, just, there's a moment in that game where they're on a mission and they go, oh, by the way, we forgot our orbments or something.
Oh, God, yeah, the moment where, we're Metroiding this shit again.
Oh, that's funny.
They explain the fact that they have no magic from the previous game. Like, oh yeah, we got the new version 2s. They're empty right
They
now.
did the same thing in SC. The only time they handled that somewhat gracefully with the narrative was third, where we got sucked into a cube and somehow lost our
third.
ornaments.
Obviously, third, they could do whatever with that setup.
The SC was literally, yo, man, we got new ornaments now. This other shit you got don't work no more. For some reason.
Yeah, they straight up do that again, and it was just like, oh boy, here we go. Because, like, you're right, you go on the same gameplay journey. So, like, once you've hit, like, by the end of Trails third, and you get, like, those ultimate ones, like, you're kind of just waiting for that the whole game.
Mm-hmm.
And I just didn't feel like setting my ornaments up as strongly through Azure.
Yeah.
However, by the end of that game, I was like, oh, well, 200% back in. Let's go to Cold Steel.
That's the way it goes. I think it also just, I played a shit ton of RPGs the last year. Like, I played 2 Kingdom Hearts games. I played Xenogears. I played Xenoblade. I played 7 Rants games. I played.
Christ.
Even more than that. Like, that's not even all of them. I played Mori. I think there's been a lot of games that are like, you have to do this part, you have to do this long part, and then you get to go to the story. And then you get to the story. And like, I think I've gotten a little bit exhausted with that. Yeah. Especially since, like I said, like Trails from Zero, the big story beats hit knocked out of the park. Yeah. Absolute home run. Yeah. Like, it completely lands.
It sounds like you've cooled on it a bit in the last month, because when you finished it, you were like, I'm fucking back in on Trails.
Yeah.
No, I'm in it. I'm still going to play it. I'm just like acknowledging that, like,
it can be a tiresome journey.
It's a big journey. Like,
yeah, these are games I can't just mainline because otherwise I'm going to get exhausted.
Yeah.
Me and John are not the type to just be like, okay, Cold Steel 1 and then Cold Steel 2 and then Cold Steel 3 and then Cold Steel 4 and then it's like 5 months later.
Mm-hmm. I think a thing with me that I'm kind of realizing is also that, like, I can get good stories from a lot of places.
Yeah.
Like, that is definitely something Trails has that a lot of games don't. But like, if I can get good stories from a lot of places, if I have, like, 10 visual novels on Steam right now that will make me cry as much as any Trails game, like, that's kind of part of where I'm thinking a little bit. Mm-hmm. Or almost as much. Like, I think I need to give a little weight and credence to being tired of, like, maybe playing the same game each time.
Yeah.
I
mean, it feels completely valid to just put it on the easiest difficulty at some point if you really just want the story in those games.
Yeah, but I don't think that's not how I roll.
I know it's not how I do either, but like,
because if I'm at that point, if I'm like, I'm never gonna be I'll just watch the cutscenes, because that's even more like, if I don't care enough to be engaging with the game part, then I'm not going to care enough to engage with the story.
Right, because that's what happened to you with FGO, basically.
Oh no, I'm back in on. I'm still going to keep. I'm going to keep playing that
game part. But I mean,
go ahead.
But like, you had to you had to get to the point where you were engaging with it as a game as well, instead of just reading it.
Yes. Yeah. When I was trying to play, just when I only cared about the writing in Fako, I was miserable. It wasn't fun until I started, like, actually enjoying the fighting.
So I'm just saying that's what would happen if on Trails, if you just put it on easy and started skipping all the side stuff.
Yeah.
I have one other game that I feel like kind of fits into this, but y'all can veto discussion of it if you'd like. I did play Deltarune Chapter 2.
Okay, yeah, I can't talk about this right now.
Okay.
I haven't decided.
Not spoiler. Could you talk about it?
Yeah, like,
I can talk about it without spoiling anything.
Because
I haven't played it at all.
I've not decided if I want to play 2 right now or if I want to wait. I'm leaning a little more toward just playing it at some point this week or something. I don't know. People keep talking.
Do you want me to give
it.
you? I think I could lay expectations in a way that would be nice or helpful in that situation. Not spoiling anything, but just like. So this fits into the Trails from Zero discussion, because I feel like Deltarune Chapter 2 is very much laying out the expectation for what the structure of a lot of the rest of the games are going to be, and it's going to be, I think a lot of it is going to be very episodic.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And in a lot of ways, Deltarune Chapter 2 is pretty much just Deltarune Chapter 1 again.
Oh, interesting.
There's almost like not really much to spoil. TBA.
That's honestly kind of wild.
Mm-hmm. And that was when I was thinking about like playing through. All right, you have to play through this part to get to the story. So I think that the arc that's going to happen with Deltarune is that it's going to keep being it is an absolute visceral delight moment to moment. I was cackling. I was laughing out loud repeatedly throughout it.
I don't doubt that that's going to be the case at all. I know Toby's writing is going to be good. And
the way it plays out just as a fun light RPG is fantastic. Like if it was a standalone itch thing, I would be singing its praises for the rest of the year. Yeah. But it's not standalone. It has a lot of expectations of like, okay, it's going to fit into this very big epic journey.
Yeah.
And I think being in the serial format like this makes it especially like a lot of expectations riding on each episode, maybe.
Well, it sounds like 3, 4, 5, and 6 are just going to be the next game.
3, 4, and 5 are the next game, and then there's explicitly Chapter 6 and Chapter 7 on the menu.
Oh,
so that's the
so
loadout.
much.
Yeah. No, so Toby's making is like 25-hour RPG. Like that's what this is going to be. What I imagine is that we're going to have several more, like a couple more episodes that are like really good, fun things. And then like Chapter 5, 6, and 7 are just going to completely implode. And I think the words I used were, it's going to completely blow my dick through my brain. And I'm going to cry a lot.
That's like what happens when you throw a piston through an engine.
And like that rules, but like also I feel like a really cool thing about Undertale is that it gets you there in like 5 hours.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. So Deltarune, like I think I'm really excited to play Toby's larger scoped story that is going to go for bigger highs. I think it's going to be great. But again, there's a lot of games I can get. Yeah. There's a lot of 25-hour games I can get mind-blowing stories from. Yeah. So I think what I had to kind of wrestle with was kind of accepting like, okay, this might be just a little bit less special. In that light. It's still fucking fun as hell.
I've not heard anybody say anything otherwise that like this sounds like a fucking delight. Yeah. It's just, like, oh, like this is not the end. This isn't the full thing. Like, am I going to come back to this and like, do I have to wait for this to be followed up for another 3 years? It's just kind of, it's a weird barrel of a gun to be looking down at, I guess.
Everybody in the Discords I was looking at was like theorizing to hell and back, and I was just like, I can't care about that right now.
I don't want to be anywhere near that.
I have no idea how this one goes. I just know that episode 1 ended with a real big what the hell?
What?
And then, so I don't know if they end with something like that, and I don't want to know if they do or not.
Don't.
There was definitely bait thrown to speculation, right? In the like 3 seconds of the previous game.
Y'all have a good time.
It's going to be really funny. So like the plan he says right now, and this will change because Chapter 2 changed.
Yeah,
is that 3, 4, 5 will come out together and be a paid thing,
and
I think that's why it's together is to justify actually making people pay for it. It's going to be really funny though if 3 and 4 are also just standalone adventures that are like 4 to 5 hours long.
That's kind of where I'm.
That's what it's sounding like. Yeah,
but it's like I think the standalone thing makes sense if they're just kind of like, doing a Telltale Games episodic. I don't know, like you play it over time and then you get a little bit and then, you chill for a couple years.
Yeah, I mean, maybe everything is going to fucking explode in Chapter 3. Like,
who knows? Yeah, we don't know.
It might. That would be awesome. The thing I'm kind of suspecting is that we're set up from the structure is that we're set up for a series of these adventures and we're going to get bits of the larger plot doled out. Yeah. Just a little sliver at a time, and then everything will explode and it'll be amazing.
Right.
coming off of Amori also earlier this year. Like, okay.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking too, where Omori was explicitly like 3 little adventures, and then it goes fucking crazy.
Mm-hmm. And it even has an extremely similar structure.
Yeah, God.
So I also think that going ahead and playing chapter 2 is probably a good idea, because if you try to play chapter 1, chapter 2, and it does wind up continue being episodic, the idea of playing chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3, chapter 4,
Oh,
That's
no.
gonna get real
Yeah.
bad. And it sounds like mechanically like nothing carries over between episodes from what I've heard people say. So
no, there's stuff that carries over. For the first game, I think not a lot carries over from the first game, because I think a lot of people, the
Probably
expectation
don't-
was not that.
yeah,
I didn't have mine.
yeah.
It's structurally, I don't think it's. I mean, I know that there's another route in this one that's very weird and hidden, and goes very hard and is very weird and wild. I haven't touched it. I just don't. I'm not really invested enough right now to want to do that. So there's gonna be fuckery.
I mean, there was a super boss in the first chapter,
Yeah,
which seemed really strange. I have no idea how to actually get to that.
Yeah, the super boss is funny. I think instead of looking at it as like, okay, the next Undertale 2, I think right now it's just like, let's play really fucking cute and fun and like stuffed with amazing cute interactions.
Is the music good?
Oh god, the
Music's
music's
great.
incredible. I have not heard a note, and all I've heard consistently is like, "Yep, the music's nothing but bangers again."
Cool.
Yeah, that's basically all I want to say. Was like, okay, here are ways that we can kind of
We
maybe
should
manage
probably
expectations.
Go ahead and
Yeah.
play it then.
Yeah, and also I think it's good to manage expectations, and also I think just playing it makes sense. I don't feel like I missed out by not replaying the first game, because again, I think it's mostly a lot of pretty similar stuff.
Got it.
But it's good as hell still. It's going to be a fun thing overall.
I'm probably going to replay chapter 1, because remember how that thing was released is like, here's a survey program.
Yeah.
So I played the entire first chapter expecting it to end like at any moment.
Every single step.
And so that really kind of tainted my
Yeah. That's
perception of
probably
it, where
why
it's like-
I will replay chapter 1.
Oh.
Yeah. I kept thinking, there's no way this is going to finish a story arc, and then it finished the story arc, and I was like, fucking what the hell just happened? And then there's that whole post area in the town, and just like, game, are you gonna end? What is it? I was like, did he just drop a full sequel and not say it was a sequel? And then it finally ended. I was like, what the fuck?
I could not believe what was happening the first time I played that game, and it was
God,
and it was all largely predicated on, oh, this is a demo. It's gonna stop me at some point and say, hey, the rest of the game will be out in 2029.
Surveyprogram.exe or whatever it was.
I still have that.
Yeah. It's funny, the new one just goes, do you want to play chapter 2?
Yeah.
Yep. No, I think I'll have a good time, and I think it's gonna be a fucking great thing. It's just kind of facing down the reality of what it is when I'm already maybe a little burnt out with a certain kind of RPG journey.
Yeah.
Like I'm not gonna talk about Xenoblade X, because I still have a lot more of that game to go.
Oh,
but it's so different.
You're not playing that. You're just testing that
Yeah.
anyway.
It's going to be wild if something actually really bad crashes, like, towards the end.
I am 30 hours in. I just finished chapter 7 of 12.
I mean, that can happen in Xenogears if you play on the PS3 version. If you play on the version they released for the PS3, the final boss, if it uses a certain attack, there's like a 50% chance it'll just crash the game.
Oh my god. I was thinking, like, okay, the robot part works, though. Like, that seemed like something that might...
Yeah.
And that's pretty far in.
That's big in Systems-y.
Mm-hmm. The robots work smoothly. The robot works great. I don't get to fly with the robot yet.
Oh,
you get
see,
the robot,
there's still something.
but you don't get. I googled it. You don't get to fly with the robot until chapter 9, or you don't get the capacity to do that. So I have to keep playing until chapter 9 if I really want to test to make sure
your tests are thorough.
And Xenoblade X is funny because I just basically don't care that much about the story much. It's almost. Like, it feels like Blizzard-y.
Oh, yeah, that's kind of the impression I always got from that game.
I don't know if it's just the designs, but all the aliens look like one of the bad guys just looks like Kerrigan. And I'm like, this isn't what I expected from. This wasn't what. Well, I guess I should have, because Xenoblade One's when you actually get to the aliens, they look really silly.
Yeah.
The robots look so good in Xenoblade One, though.
Yeah.
Oh, but no, they introduced the bad guy aliens way faster in this one, and they immediately just like give off. It's like they fell in from a Halo game or something. And I'm like, like sometimes the vibe reminds me of like Jak and Daxter, and I'm like, what the fuck is this? This isn't Xeno. This isn't my Xeno. But the open world shit's really fun. If you like, hey, do y'all like making numbers go up?
Nah,
no.
like not particularly.
Polly's like, no,
not at all.
Do y'all like going to place waypoints on your map?
No.
Yes.
Hey, Polly, do you like finding treasure chests and then being told that your treasure chest opening level is not high enough yet for you to open that treasure chest?
God.
I can't believe I was making fun of Xenoblade 2 for doing that shit. Where it's like your waterfall your waterfall climbing skill is not level 3. You can't do this cool secret you found. And then they have an even more like arbitrary, stupid chest opening one in this.
Do y'all like hearing you can't play Chapter 4 yet? You have to explore 15% of the first continent.
Wow.
I just got the Chapter 8 one was you have to explore 10% of the whole planet in order to do not just explore, but do 10% of like the missions and explore.
13 Sentinels has a thing like this too, but it's not a big ass open world video game.
Yeah.
Like I just do stuff in menus in that game, and it's like, okay, I did like the 80% that I needed to here.
Okay. The thing is, if it didn't have that shit, if you could just mainline the story, it wouldn't be great, because the story's not really the
story
part that's
sounds real
compelling
bad
right now. It's not like I think it's going to have twists. Like I think it's playing like a very it's playing it straight in a really weird way, where it feels like a very straightforward. Then you're gonna colonize the planet and beat up the aliens. Yeah. And like I have played Xenogears and Xenoblade, I know that it's not going to be that straightforward. There's going to be a twist later on that's going to be like, ooh, actually, the humans were the bad guys all along, or something. Don't say anything in the chat, but like, there's going to be something like that, and it's going to partially kind of redeem what they're doing with it.
Yeah.
But like, I'm enjoying it right now because I'm enjoying it as a game. I'm enjoying like, how do I get to that big beam of that Assassin's Creed tower over there? Oh,
it's tickling all the pleasure spots in your brain, and it's doing it with like this cool anime exterior that you can really get into. So even though it's like a form of game that you've not played with or maybe not enjoyed much up until this point, the anime wrapper around it's definitely helping you kind of ease into it, and I understand that entirely.
Yeah, and it's hard. It's still like Xenoblade 1. The bosses are still like hard level checks. And like that's annoying in the sense of like, oh, I've got to grind now.
Yeah.
But it also just means that like all the exploring and leveling and finding treasure and finding money and whatnot, still there. It feels like there's a point to it, because every time I'm doing something like that, I'm building up to the next story requirement, whatever number it's going to be, and I'm building up and I'm making my character stronger for the next boss level check. Cool. Whereas like with Breath of the Wild, like once I got past the first 5 hours or so, I could climb over everything, and everything was easy. So it wasn't.
Have I told you about playing that game on hard mode? I'm just kidding.
Yeah, no, that sounds much more fun. But that's like the deal with Xenoblade X. Like you also just can't climb up every mountain. So like I'm like, oh, I want to get up there, and then I'll like walk along the side of the cliff trying to see if there's a path up. Like you actually have to think about the shape of the world. So to me, this is so far a much more satisfying AAA open world game than of the two I've played a good bit of.
It definitely seems much more influenced by stuff like Skyrim or Assassin's Creed, like you said, like the big kind of standard open worlds with their own twist on it.
Mm-hmm.
And the way the gating works, where it's like, oh, you have to do side quests and explore the world, like that sounds like a much more natural version of what they did with Torna, where Torna was not a big game, and it still made you do like 70% of the side quests, and I was just literally grinding them out from a menu. Like, this is awful. Like having the exploration element in a huge world, like to spread it out a bit.
Yeah.
Sounds much more pleasant.
Oh yeah, and I feel like I feel like by the end of it, I will have like wrung what I wanted out of it, and I'll have consumed like 20% of it. So
I
like,
mean, even
it's not going to make you. It's not going to make you do 70% of it. It's not going to make you do 50% of it. It's just here is a buffet table of MMO bullshit. Take whatever you want. Enjoy what you will. And I'm like, okay, I'll do that.
Xenoblade 1 was like, hey, here's 1,000,000 MMO side quests, and you had to do none of them.
Yeah, like it feels on like a game level, it feels a little. It kind of makes more sense to me than Xenoblade 1 does.
Yeah.
Because in Xenoblade 1, there is like. I felt like once I got past the way the EXP scaling worked, like I never felt like I was at all rewarded for doing side quests in earlier areas.
Yeah.
Like once I got past that boss, it felt like there was no point to going backwards. Like it was almost always best to just do what I needed to in this area to get past the boss and then get to the next thing.
And even the story was never the characters are going back. Like, it didn't make sense.
Yeah.
That was pretty much a straight shot right to the end.
Mm-hmm. In this, it feels like a very natural, like, do a story chapter and then fuck around in the open world for 3 hours.
Yeah.
Do a story chapter, then fuck around in the open world. And it feels like pretty right in a way that I think Xenoblade 1 is a much better story.
Yeah.
And it certainly grabbed me more on that front early on. But just as a dumb brain candy garbage thing, Xenoblade X is really appealing to me.
It definitely seemed like the right game you needed at a certain time this month.
I put down Trails from Zero and I picked up Xenoblade X, and I was just like 2 days later, I was like, I want Xenoblade, and then Xenoblade was like, yes, because I just wasn't getting that at all from Trails because I was so used to that arc. And then Xenoblade is like so like unfamiliar for the most part, so I'm just figuring out all the systems garbage. Like, oh yes, I'm enjoying this as a
immerse
game.
me in this systems garbage dumpster.
Yeah.
Xenoblade, right? The Xenoblade 2, they added gotcha.
Yep.
Oh, I keep getting reminded of that, and then I look at the copy of it on my shelf, and I almost start to cry. Like, man. I know I'm going to want to like that game, but the gacha stuff is going to really make me angry.
I think you just need to not care that much.
I need to get to that point. I need to get to that point before I approach that game, I think.
It's so
I have definitive edition of 1, and I think that will probably treat me better than XC2 right now, because I'm so tired of hearing about and dealing with like gacha systems and shit.
Yeah, I think these games just throughout are gonna be a ton of system garbage.
Oh yeah,
and like I think on some level, if you're gonna have a good time, you got to be in a mode where some of that resonates on some level.
Yeah,
like I said, just trying to mainline the story, especially in Xenoblade X.
Look, man, Ryza got me into a crafting system, and I don't like crafting systems. Sometimes it's the garbage has just got to be presented at the right time and in the right way.
See, I don't think the gacha in Xenoblade 2 is the right way.
No, it's not. It's terrible.
That's the problem.
It's awful.
Maybe just get extremely scared about school in the first week and be like, oh, play some of this.
That's all I gotta do. Is that all I gotta do?
Just do that, and then Xenoblade will be what you need. All right, I went kind of overtime there.
Yeah.
I had a big JRPG. I had a big RPG adventure.
Yep.
Rat, what have you been up to?
Oh, me.
Yeah,
I thought you said
you
Rat.
You were a part of this. Wait, Rat? Where?
Rat.
Where?
Nah,
dog.
it's just me.
Just you.
So it's been a while since we did one of these.
Yep.
Oh, right. So last time I had just finished my 2 weeks of
anime
off work,
binge.
And it was wonderful anime binge, but it was mostly anime movies and OVAs. Mm-hmm. Guess what I've been doing since then?
Playing a lot of video games.
Anime binge. No, fuck video games.
I know.
Yeah.
I have seriously not really engaged with video games like whatsoever besides the new Toho and like a couple hours of Forza Horizon yesterday, where I'm just like, hey, anime.
Yeah.
And I think it was like kind of the exact same realization John had where I can get stories other places than video games, especially I think Yakuza 7 fucking broke me.
Yeah, that like when we look back at sort of where this started, like
It was a super sharp decline
yeah,
after that game.
Yakuza 7 just completely demolished you.
And I liked that game, but it was so long.
Yeah.
And it's not even that long. But it was like that game frustrated me because it got really good right at the end. So like the last like 2 or 3 hours was like, hey, here's all the story's goodness. But it didn't feel
I really feel like something I told a friend. I don't think a game deserves too much credit if it makes me cry at the end of 50 hours. If you get me, it's not hard to get me there.
Yeah.
If you have 50 hours to set shit up.
But that's the
But
thing
go
is I
ahead.
think Yakuza felt like a 20-hour story with a whole lot of padding.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's just like the way the combat. But I'm not here to talk about that. It was basically the same realization though, where it's like the ending in that game was good, but didn't feel as earned as like a Trails.
Yeah.
Because I didn't think they'd spent the whole time setting it up. But it was also the realization that like, hey, I can get stories from other places than video games. I'm gonna just keep going on that anime train.
Fuck yes.
So I watched a show called Odd Taxi, and I'm having to go back like over like a month for this one.
It's time to make some crazy money.
Not really. Oh god, how do I describe this one? So all the characters are animals. It's got a very cute kind of cartoonish art style. The main character is like this 40-year-old guy who drives a taxi, and he's just kind of not depressed, but very somber, I guess.
Oh my
And,
god,
like,
this is very cute.
it's very cute. It's so cute. And the show is just very reminiscent of like Durarara, where you've got like 10 main characters and it's all these stories are happening and intersecting with each other in really interesting and crazy ways. And I binged the show over like 2 nights because it's, it's like 12 episodes. It's pretty short. And it's really good. Like everyone is like, this is the secret sleeper hit of the season. We're like, Odd Taxi is actually the best show of the last couple months.
I've not heard
cool.
anybody else talk about this, weirdly enough.
Because I think the art style like kills it for a lot of anime fans. But it's furry. Oh, it's cartoonish.
Right.
It's like it's fine. It works for the show. It makes sense.
It almost looks like kind of retro. Like I almost get like a nice, like a very warm like 90s vibe.
Mm-hmm. I can see that. And I don't it's hard for me to talk about really what happens because it is so like just characters, stories, and lives colliding with each other. Like there's I'm trying to remember, like I don't know. There's a tiny bit of Idol stuff in it, but it's like these 3 girls who are like about to debut, and then one of them was in the taxi at this time, and some guy's trying to get the recording of when she was in the taxi, and you don't know why. And then like some other mob guy's also trying to get it, and then one guy gets kidnapped because he gets catfish. Like stuff is just happening.
Right. It sounds like 428 Shibuya Scramble.
Yeah, that one definitely would also be a similar comparison. I think because it's an anime, all the recommendations are like, hey, this is like Durarara, because it's very, modern city characters, storylines, crossing paths. And then one of the villains has a whole episode dedicated to him where he just becomes like not a serial killer, but like very vengeful evil spirit because he got addicted to gacha and then lost everything.
To be fair, very good reason to become an evil spirit and kill everyone. That's a very good reason.
His evil black story is that he got addicted to gacha.
Cautionary tale, folks.
Yeah. So I'm just throwing out kind of a big recommendation for this one because I just finished it. It was just like, yeah, that was kind of a masterpiece, huh?
Is that on Crunchyroll?
No.
Oh, you're doing your thing again.
I don't know where you get these shows. I mean, I know where I got them.
Oh. See what you're doing now.
It's probably on Crunchyroll, I think it's so.
Okay. Bearnout says that it is on Crunchyroll, so that is something that I will look into watching soon.
Cool. So I watched another show.
Uh-huh.
I watch a lot of shows.
You're just popping them back. You're popping them back like a bag of Doritos.
Yeah.
A bag of Doritos.
So last
3D.
time, those back. a bag of Doritos 3D does not last me 2 days, unfortunately.
Those things go real fast for some reason. I don't know where they go. I put the bag down and suddenly they're gone.
I open the bag and then they're gone. It's weird. So last time we talked about a show that Polly really likes. Mm-hmm. And then there's the second season that I finally watched.
Oh, God. I have to strap myself in. Hold on. I'm about to have a fucking aneurysm again.
I watched Ghost in the Shell Standalone Complex Second Gig.
Uh-huh.
And I really liked it.
Yay!
Yay.
In a weird way. So I actually gave it a 9 out of 10 on my anime list. I think I liked it more than the first season, which I think that's kind of wild.
I think that's actually entirely fair. I see why those 2 seasons can hit entirely differently.
But it's a little weird because I think the first half of this one, I wasn't quite feeling it. Mm-hmm. It was really just that story arc at the end.
Oh, it's just really good.
Fucking goes. Like, when it goes, like, and it becomes, like, a 10 out of 10 show, it's like, okay, like, there's no way this is not the inferior season.
Yeah.
I think, like, I would lean a little bit more towards the standalone episodes in the first season. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Because I think one of the things that was kind of, I struggled for in Second Gig was that what makes a Ghost in the Shell story?
Yeah. That's understandable.
And the first season is a lot of, like, transhumanism stuff, robots, you know.
Yeah.
Like the episode 2 where it's like, oh, this guy was dying of like cancer, so we put his brain in a robot, but then the robot went out of control and we had to kill him. Yeah. Like sad stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's like that. The first season feels more like in line with what they're trying to say about like the robot and, you know, cybernetic and like getting rid of your entire body.
Where the humanism comes into, like the second season is more of an exploration of that idea, whereas I think the first season is good at presenting the question and presenting but not giving you, but not really stewing on it so much. Whereas the second season, there are a lot of stories that focus a lot on exploring like where the human side like is still there.
Interesting. I was going to say the second story says the word refugees a whole lot.
That too. Oh boy, that's
especially towards the start, just like drinking game. If they say refugees, you get fucking smashed within a couple hours.
Yeah. Bring out those White Russians. Let's watch some Standalone Complex 2. Let's play the refugee game.
So for me, rather than like, you know, the cybernetic stories, it was much more political and refugee focused. And like, maybe they didn't do quite enough setting up that was actually going to be the full series conflict at the start. Mm-hmm. Maybe I just missed something at the start because it goes kind of fast. Mm-hmm. But man, that story arc at the end, like once it becomes like, it's like, okay, we're going to like stop teasing around what's going to happen and just have all the everything happen.
Yep.
It's some of the best anime I've like ever watched. I was just edge of my seat for like 8 episodes in a row.
That makes me feel good.
Yeah.
Aww.
And then the last episode's fucking crazy.
Oh man, it's wild.
It ends.
Oh yeah. That is a show that when it ends.
Because the first season did not end in the same way.
Not in this way.
It was a very, like, kind of awkward victory where it's like, well, we're not dead.
Yeah, like, I mean, like, survival was the point.
Yeah. But, yeah, this one definitely has a much more satisfying and conclusive ending. Even though there's still a movie afterwards, and then they made some other 2045. I don't know what that is.
Nope.
Yamiya says, don't watch season 3.
Nope.
No, I'm not. I do not plan on watching season 3, but I do plan on watching.
Like Solid State Society is a good little one-off story, but it doesn't reach the height of like the Individual 11 or the Laughing Man stories at all.
Yeah, I plan on watching the movie and do not plan on watching 2045.
Yeah, like I've never watched Arise, I've never watched 2045, and I'm like the biggest Ghost in the Shell nerd you'll find. And even then, it's not a curiosity for me because it just looks and reads like straight up trash.
Yeah. I think I watched like the first episode of Arise when it was on Netflix, and I was like, this was fine. But I didn't really have any context for it.
Yeah.
So, Polly, how much do you have to talk about?
I mean, there's the big thing, but we're doing that later. And like, I don't know. It's not a lot.
Okay, so I have two more shows that I want to talk about. So I
Mhm.
think I can do those now because it did take that long to
Good.
get through the first
Yeah,
two.
go for it.
Um, oh god. Okay, I had to remember what they were. So this is a show I watched that's very easy to describe as like it's X meets Y.
Mm-hmm.
I watched ID Invaded, and it's
Mhm.
like Psychopaths meets I the Somnium Files.
For some
Oh.
reason, I thought you said ID invade, and I was like, Psychopath. Psychopath is one of them. Psychopath is one of them.
It really, really
Yes.
is.
You have my attention.
Okay.
Oh, so it's unfortunate though, where it's like it's X meets Y, but it's not as good as either of
I mean,
those.
yeah, I didn't
Yeah,
expect it to be.
but it's like the setup for this is so weird, and that's part of the problem is that like your logic gets stretched a little too far too easily.
Mhm.
So in Psychopaths, they're able to like analyze the cops, of course, are able to analyze people's brainwaves and determine like if they're latent criminals and stuff, and
Mhm.
like, oh, intent to kill. In this, there's like a more fantastical version where it's like when a person has intent to kill, there's residual energy left behind that lingers, and they have a device that allows them to capture that and then go into that person's brain.
It's
It's really weird.
like Ghostbusters, but for bad feels.
Yeah. But then it leads to them having a lot of like very Eye of the Somnium Files ish dream
Yeah,
world.
like you can play with the dream logic and do
Yeah.
really fun things with it.
Like the show starts inside one of them before you know what's going on. And
Oh,
it's
nice.
just like this world of floating scenery and like city blocks.
Mhm.
And the main character himself is like not fully together, where like his arm is like has a bunch of gaps in it, and he's able to like bionic commando basically.
Ha!
But it's just in that one specific dream world, and then there's other weirdnesses. And I'm losing my train of thought. Sorry, like how
No,
to
I get you.
describe the show. It's like it's really good, but then the ending the ending did not go for it, and like did not
Uh,
like solve everything, and like it is satisfactory, where it's like they felt like they were kind of leaving it up for a season 2 or something, which they're probably not going to get because it's just an original one-off.
Mm.
Whereas something like
oh, weird. So it's not adapting from anything, and it still did that.
I think it's still an anime original, yeah.
Huh.
I think because when you start to learn about like where this ability that the cops have is coming from, it's kind of too silly for me. Where it's like, and then some resolutions towards the end don't hit as hard as they could, but they also do get into a bit of Inception stuff, where at one point they find like a dream thing inside one of the dream worlds, so they start going layers deep, and that's probably the most interesting part, where it's like, wait, where are they now?
Yeah.
You were in somebody's brain, and then you found one of those things to go inside somebody's brain and went a layer deeper. What the fuck is happening? Like, there are really good moments, but the ending kind of like I the Somnium Files ties everything off perfectly
Yeah,
by the end.
yeah.
Like every character in that story is there for a reason.
Yeah.
And like it ties it in a knot, which is funny that that's the one getting a sequel, but it's also like
Yeah.
a 6 years later, different characters, the different location thing.
Yeah.
Where it's like
Mm.
everything in that first game was so solved by the end.
Yeah. You can't just do something immediately afterward.
Yeah. Whereas this was just like they could probably do something immediately afterward with the same characters because
Right.
they didn't finish.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it was a fun, interesting watch, and realizing like, oh, this reminds me of Inception. This reminds me of Somnium Files. Like that was kind of fun.
Oh. Yeah.
Uh,
Go ahead.
No, go ahead. I was stalling.
Yeah, it's interesting when you get like the kind of sort of dopey one-off shows that remind you a lot of the
Yeah.
other things. Like,
Yeah.
I like what you're going for, because I liked it in these other things that kind of
Yeah.
went harder with it.
Mm.
Then I watched a show that's funny because it's another anime original. Like I am leaning to a lot towards those right now.
I'm a big
That makes
fan of
sense.
originals because, boy, I'm real over light
I-
novel adaptations.
I think ID Invaded is an original. Let me look. I'm like 99% sure, but maybe
I can
it's
look it
not.
up.
Yeah, source original. Okay. I watched another original called 91 Days.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny because this is the type of show, if it was live action, I just would never watch.
Oh.
Because this is a mafia show. Like, straight up.
Okay.
It's Prohibition era mobsters in America. They don't specifically say where, but actually it's pretty close to Chicago, I think. But the town they're in is fictional.
Nice.
And it was funny because I just started it last Sunday, like at 11 p.m.
Mm-hmm.
Was just like, oh, I did nothing all weekend. Let me start this show. And then I watched 9 episodes in a row, which is really, really unusual for me.
Unusual, but it's always amazing when a show can make you do that.
Yeah. John posted a picture of the main characters with guns to their heads. It's pretty funny.
Always good. Nice.
Oh, yeah. Thank you for that, though, because it reminds me of like what the setup for this is.
Mm-hmm.
Is that main character is a little kid. Mobsters come to his house. He hides in the closet, and they kill his whole family. And then he gets away. So he's out for revenge. It's very like Count of Monte Cristo style, where it's like he can't just kill them. He has to fucking destroy them.
Yeah!
He wants the main guy to suffer as much as fucking possible.
I'm here for it. Like those kinds of revenge stories.
Yeah. And he does that by infiltrating and becoming that guy's best friend.
That's so good!
So it's just the long con of like not being suspicious, not outing yourself as a traitor. But then when the opportunity presents itself, hey, maybe that guy you thought that trusted you, you just put a bolt in the back of their head and be like, oh my God, I can't believe somebody else did this. That definitely wasn't me. So he is just this empty husk, though, where like all he actually gives a fuck about is revenge. Like he's not living for anything else.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then it gets into that by the end where it's like, what are you living for if you're living for nothing, you know?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And it's a good time, but it's so funny because it's not something I would watch normally.
Right.
But because fun animated tale. And it goes pretty crazy by the end, which I appreciated.
We are a big fan of any anime that goes crazy at the end. That's all you've really got to do for a good anime ending for us is just go fucking buck nutty with it.
Again, because this was an original, the story is over by the end. Yeah. I'll tell you that.
That's good. This was another thing where you're like, oh, cool, this will probably end up on my to-watch list.
Yeah. It's like, there is like an extra episode that takes place earlier, and I haven't even watched it because the story's just over by episode 12. Mm-hmm. And it's just like, it's like a 6-hour movie almost. Like, just watching it over 2 nights, because it was a little bit too long to do in one night.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It was just like, wow, that was just a good time. From a show I wanted... Yeah.
A friend hates the phrase, it went hard even when it didn't have to. On the basis of like, everybody wants to go hard. Everybody's trying.
Yeah.
And then, so, in response, a bunch of other friends just started saying it constantly. To describe everything, like, I just love that this went hard even though it didn't have to.
Oh.
It's kind of like the dick-headed shit we would do.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever done the "but it didn't have to" part, because I just
I'm always here for it. Like, like you may not have had to, but that's not something I'm going to say because I'm very happy when things go as hard as they do.
Yeah, where it's like IT invaded. I was like, I wish it went harder at the end.
Yeah,
it had to.
Well, obviously it didn't have to because it didn't.
I know. I mean, that show was fine. Like, I watched one more thing. I watched. So, do you guys know Lupin the Third at all?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was a bunch in like the 70s and early 80s, and then they took a long break from TV shows.
I know.
And then in 2012, they released a woman named Mine Fujiko.
Yeah.
And I didn't watch that one at the time, but then last year I watched, and then 3 years later in 2015, they did Lupin the Third Part 4. Mm-hmm. And then 2018, they did Lupin the Third Part 5.
Yeah.
And I've watched those. So I went back and finally watched the Mine Fujiko show from 2012. And it kind of sucks.
Oh,
in a weird way.
Oh, no.
Oh, no. I was going to ask about that because this is by the Yuri on Ice director. She did Lupin the Third, a woman called Fujiko Mine, Yuri on Ice, and Michiko and Hachin. So kind of all three. I love Yuri on Ice, the other two. So the other two are on my radar for that.
Yeah, Michiko to Hachin is great.
Huh.
I'm trying to think.
Alright.
So there was a name
Still
that
saying
came
that.
up with the show. I need to look at the staff right now. Director. Okay, we're not thinking of the same person. I'm thinking of the writer.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Somebody was like so mad about the show. They're like, Maria Okada needs to stop writing shit. And then I looked up her.
Oh, I've heard her name.
I looked her up, and it was like, oh yeah, there's some stuff I haven't liked on here. Oh shit.
Uh-oh.
And then one of them was the show I plan to watch next, and I'm like,
Oh no.
maybe I'm not getting to that one so quickly.
Huh.
It's I don't talk too much about it, but it's
You know, a
like
lot of stuff.
this was like a 7 out of 10. That in the last episode I dropped it to a 6
Woof.
because it was just such a kind of fuck you ending.
Right.
Oh, weird. Like, in what way? Like, you can probably just tell us.
Basically, the story is teasing that it's going to do a Mine Fujiko backstory and like explain her whole deal.
Mm-hmm.
And then the last episode is like, JK, it was somebody else that was all happening to.
Mm.
She has no backstory still.
Huh.
It's
Okay.
just really weird.
Weird.
Like, you know how there's shows that go hard at the end, and then there's shows where like the entire last episode is exposition.
Oh, no.
I was just like, are you kidding me with this? It's like it was a fine episodic show till the end, and then like this last story arc kind of bombed out pretty hard for me.
Ugh.
Yeah, so that wasn't even one I was going to talk about, but it was like, we got like 30 more seconds.
No, we gotcha.
Yeah.
It's fine.
And then I watched like I told Polly on I think Thursday night, I'm gonna watch the last 4 episodes of one show, which was Fujiko, and then start another show.
Mm-hmm.
And I watched 2 episodes of Fujiko and was just like, I fucking can't with this show. And like I hadn't even gotten to the 2-part finale at the end. So instead I just watched all of season 1 of Castlevania because it's only 4 episodes.
I like that show. I watched the first 2 seasons and I had a good time.
Oh cool. I'm at the start of season 2 right now.
Yeah, I think season 2 gets a lot stronger.
Cool. I liked season 1, but like episode 1 is great because it's just cathartic payback when Dracula unleashes the horde.
Oh my god, yeah. The backstory there's a lot.
Oh, okay. So when I mentioned like the dude getting whipped in the face and his eye flew out, you knew what I was talking about. I fucking screamed.
It's so bloody and violent and everyone swears. It's great.
But it is, but like this one specific moment in like episode 2, Trevor fights a human and he's trying to not fuck him up too bad because, you know, he's not a killer. But he whips a guy in the face and you just see an eyeball go flying. So it's like, it's significantly smaller scale than all the violence that happens so far. But losing your eye is so much more in the realm of possibility. Visceral. Yeah, and visceral. I just went like really loudly. I didn't expect it either.
Mm-hmm.
And then
There's
that guy
2 more seasons of that show now.
Yeah.
So
like
apparently season 4 is like air quotes the end.
Yeah.
That if they do some, that's why I've decided to watch it now. That like if they do more, and I think they are going to do more, it's going to be kind of a sequel series thing, where it's like Castlevania Resurrection or whatever, just some random thing.
Yeah,
like,
season two leaves things very open for more. Yeah. It opens threads, but it has a very big like.
Cool.
It goes hard even when it does not have to.
Okay. Apparently, season 4 though is air quotes the end.
Okay, that's good to know. I'm very interested in the threads that they've opened, so I should watch more of that show.
Even then, I like the end of season 1 where it's like, oh, this is just Castlevania 3, huh?
Yeah,
we're really just actually bringing those characters together. We've got Trevor, Sifa, and Alucard.
Alucard, it rules. Yeah.
I like Barenaut's idea in the chat. They'll just play the seasons again upside down. We have funny people inhabiting our chat.
Oh, Tom, the end of season 2 is so good.
Okay.
Tom, there's horny stuff in season 2 that you'll really enjoy. Not to make your brand not to constrain your brand. I'm just saying.
So yeah, I'm still not sure when I'm going to get back to video games.
Yeah, it's understandable.
Fuck video games.
Like I've not played a video game in a while.
Sometimes you don't need that. Sometimes you just need you just want story. Like sometimes
You can get those stories elsewhere
or something.
Yeah, get those stories elsewhere.
I that's what I just want to get them from a variety of different sources, and I feel like I like being able to jump around and do a bunch of different things.
Yeah.
And like not limiting myself to being like a Trails person is sort of similar to being I'm not just an RPG person either. I want to have a bunch of art coming into my life and my brain.
It's so funny because I do try to also be like the generalist, like kind of a little bit of everything person, but then I'm like, but the one JRPG series I still give a shit about is Trails. Like that's the one at this point.
Yeah, like
But I mean,
Trails
you're
is
still,
still like they're still good there, but it's okay to be a little bored about it right now.
Yeah, and you're still not like mainlining it either.
Nah.
Yeah.
So like there's room for other stuff in our lives. Polly,
What?
what have you been up to?
Oh, it's me. Hey. I've not really been playing video games for the last week, but I did put a cap on a video game over the last month or so.
Yes, I want to hear about this one.
I finished Mary Skelter 2. That ended up it took a while, but I decided to go about this like I'm not gonna just bury my face in this game for like, hours on end. Like it still ended up being a 72-hour experience. It just took me longer to do because I spread it out. Like I would do a dungeon in chapter or two and then put it down for a week or so. And I found that when I did that, it made it a lot easier to digest because look, it's a pretty low budget Idea Factory game. You're going to be looking at a lot of the same things in those games a lot of the time, and that can be a little boring. It can be visually exhausting, I guess. I think is a fair way to put it. Not audio exhausting though, because that game's got a soundtrack with bangers. Like Jesus Christ, nobody told me that Idea Factory could go so hard on their soundtracks.
Even when they don't have to?
Even when they don't have to. But like that game's got so many fantastic battle themes, and like they change it up like every 1 or 2 dungeons, so that keeps the actual fights from becoming, annoying or bogged down or slow. But I think the most important thing about Mary Skelter 2 is that when we started talking about Mary Skelter 2, you can't talk about it without talking about, like the story stuff. It's all messed up. Remember, like they took Mary Skelter 2 and now that's the first game. We went back and we rewrote a bunch of the first game, so you have to play that second now, and then you have to do all that before you go into finale. It's kind of a bunch of weirdness. And I was really, like, the whole time, it's like, how do you make this work in a way that is going to make sense, not feel contrived, and not feel just like... It feels like a story that had already set itself up for failure in a way, I guess, right? By being as weirdly convoluted and weirdly retconny as it was of that first game for some reason. But also going in, it's just like, maybe there's a reason for this. Maybe, like, this... It feels like such specific weirdness to the way that they approached this. And that's exactly what it is. It is specific weirdness because they landed it entirely. They made it make it like all the sense in the world. And what they don't mention is that even if you did play through that original game and the story that they changed at the end of the one that comes with Mary Skelter 2, even though they changed that first story is not completely retconned. They do something fun and interesting with it on the sort of, I don't know that I would call it a meta level, but the way they play around with what this story is doing, how this story came to be, and why this story is the way it is, it not only makes sense. They not only make it make sense from the lore standpoint, as well as like the mechanics of the world and why the world works the way it does. They make it work emotionally. Like they make you feel it. Like the reason this story is the way it is it's based on a really, really believable, strong, and enduring love story. And that really and not only that, an enduring, believable, and very well put together gay love story.
Ah,
I don't know why. When I was playing this game, I had all the expectations in the world that the other shoe was going to drop at some point. Like this something's going to come along. Like, this love story isn't real. There's something fake about it, and it was just, like, I kept waiting for that. And I don't know why I kept thinking that, because, like, Idea Factory games are, I feel, they're pretty progressive with their gender roles and how they've treated and talked about, like, LGBT issues in their games. Like, they directly talk about them, and characters are very nonchalant about, character's sexuality. It's never a big deal. It's just, hey, like, this is a dungeon crawler that has a very well put together story of two women at its center who are in love, and you explore that. And you get to the point, like, near the end of the game, where they actually, they're alone, and they have a wedding, and they say their vows to one another.
my God.
You get the kiss,
That's
and there's
so
even
nice.
implications that they are going back to their room to fuck. Like, they leave it off at that moment, like, maybe we should continue this in your room. Like, and it's such, like, and they build it very slowly over, like, even though they start this story, like, in love with one another, they explain why it's working, and they're both trying to, like, figure out why. And if it's, like, tied to what's called a blood libido, which is something a blood maiden has to do, or she'll just fucking go nuts. Like, Red Riding Hood is the easiest example. Red Riding Hood always has to wear a hood, or she just fucking freaks out. Like, so I was waiting for the shoe to drop, like, oh, like, the reason Otsu is in love with Little Mermaid is because that's her blood libido, and, like, she just wants to marry her because, like, that's the thing she has to do. But it's not like that at all. It's a very reciprocated, two-way relationship that comes together really well. And it was really, really touching by the end. Like, they end the game on this, like, incredibly strong note, and, like, that this entire story had happened because of the basis of this profound love that this character has for this other character. And it ended up way more touching than I thought it would be. Like, I was not coming into an Idea Factory game expecting to, like, have a couple tears rolling by the end when final farewells are said and we're packing up. They tie that story up in a really, really, really good way that made me very happy. Like, my 72 hours was more than worth it. Like, the dungeon crawling, like, this is not like Etrian Odyssey. It's not as nuanced as that. Like, the way you build characters, it's not balanced at all. I also found a bug where you could, like, duplicate jail pieces, which are modifiers for the dungeon that you can, like, make things, like, happen in the dungeon. Like, oh, like, when the roulette spins, I can always get, like, attack up buffs on all my characters because for some reason the game doesn't count it when I put items in storage. It still lets me use them. That's weird.
Uh-oh.
Yep, that's a weird oversight. Apparently that they didn't fix in finale either.
Oh no.
But it was still satisfying. Like, it was comfort food dungeon crawling. Like, I just had a good time, and I still think that, like, the idea of, like, I like the way that they spin out the idea of FOEs in dungeons where, like, in Etrian Odyssey, they're just enemies that typically, they roam the dungeon in patterns, or they will notice you and chase you to a certain degree, whereas with Mary Skelter, I like the nightmares chase you. Like, they will they can fucking pop in at any time, like, you'll see the sky start turning white to let you know that there's a nightmare in the area. And they make that work with the way all of the dungeon gimmicks work, too, because every girl has her own special ability that she can use to help traverse the dungeon, like teleports, bunny hops and stuff, or, like, one girl can use her hair to hit switches and things like that, or grab treasure chests and stuff. So, like, they make all of this stuff work in a way that's, like, yeah, it's a little jank, but you can tell that they are really, really trying to do something fun, new, and refreshing with the dungeon crawler genre. They just don't always have the budget to make it seem like it's maybe, like, on the same level as something like Etrian. But I still had a good time with it. It's comfort food. It was just easy to pick up and put down every time I wanted to play it. Just bang out a couple of floors. And, like, playing a game like this on the Switch in portable mode, like, it's such a good idea. Like, it's such a great format. for the handheld platform. It's such a smart idea.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense to me. Just like Etrian Odyssey being on the DS feels so
Yeah,
right.
like it makes
being able to just play
yeah.
these games on the go.
Yeah. So like being able to kind of just sit at the computer or just chill out somewhere, pull out the Switch, do a floor or two, put it back. That's how I chewed my way through the game. Now, the only bummer now is that I had to get Mary Skelter Finale on the PS4 because the Switch version sounds really bad.
Oof.
Yeah. It's the same thing that happened, like, it's weird because Mary Skelter 2 on PS4 is so bad, they never brought it over here. They couldn't fix it. It was just, like, apparently there's bugs everywhere. It crashes constantly, and the frame rate is abysmal. So that's the reason that they only that's the reason that they only released the Switch version outside of Japan. So now
these poor games.
Yeah,
they really got put through the ringer, huh?
They never got the love they deserve. I feel it feels really unfortunate. But yeah, I had to pre-order Finale on the PS4, so I'm gonna have to approach that a bit differently, I think.
Is the first game only on the only one on PC is the first game?
Yeah.
But then there's the remade version.
But then there's the remade version, which is the new canonical version.
Oh my.
Yeah.
You need every single platform to play this series.
Basically.
And you should be playing the remade version of the first game after
Mary Skelter 2.
Okay.
Yeah. But like the cool thing is
you play like 10 hours of the original one and then then you dropped it and started 2.
I did like 30 hours of the original.
Oh my god.
But the cool thing about like if you like I'm just going to wait till Mary Skelter Finale comes out to do to just read the visual novel format of the because they're including visual novels of the first 2 games with Finale. But the cool thing about the remastered version is when you start the game, it will ask you a question, and if you can answer that question, it will put you at the first before the last chapter of the first game at a specific level, and you'll be able to like build your characters. So you can actually start where the major differences in that game are, like where it diverges from that first game, from the original story. So they tried. I'm not gonna play it because I'm kind of just like, okay, I've had my fill now. I'm good. Like I don't know that I'm gonna get the Mary Skelter Finale this year. I pre-ordered it because that's gonna be something I want to play.
I want to support it,
and I'll support it because I think that Mary Skelter has been consistently good. It feels like something that they've consistently done good with, despite the fact that it's really wonky, story-wise and release-wise. Yeah, it's good stuff. I liked it. Had a good time with it. And if you like dungeon crawlers, like it goes on sale decently enough on the eShop. Do they still call it the eShop, or do they just call it the Nintendo Store now? I don't remember.
I think it's still eShop.
But yeah, it goes on sale consistently for like $12, so you get both games for $12.
Jeez.
That's what I paid for it. Because you can't get the physical version because it was released through shitty ass limited run games. Because limited run games can go suck an asshole. They're the worst. Everybody
suck a limited run games asshole.
Yeah, like give me a Wesley Willis song about me whipping limited run games ass. If I ever do karaoke, that'll be my song. I whip limited run games ass.
Colin says, so they went hard, even when they didn't have to.
Yes, they did!
So stupid.
Okay, I guess we got another couple minutes here. I'll try to rest. I released a couple of video games.
Yeah!
I made video games. The first one I'm very, very proud of, because it was a spontaneous kind of, just like I was guesting on Sayara's stream once, and he was playing Super Mario Brothers 2, and he got to the part where Luigi's riding on an egg over the sea. It's like, I think it's like level 6-2 or something, maybe. I can't remember. And I was just like, Sarah, I like you a lot. I'm gonna make a video game out of that. And I said it as a joke. and then I loaded up Game Maker as a joke. And then I ripped a bunch of assets as a joke. And then I created hit detection for assets as a joke. And then suddenly, a week later, I've got a 6-stage video game that is about 10 minutes long that I have essentially accidentally created, like, my Scramble-like, I guess. Because Scramble is a touchstone game for me. I like that game a lot. Wait, hold on. Okay, never mind. Yeah, Scramble is one of the, like, it's one of the first shmups ever. And it's very short, it's very brisk. And I always I want
to loop cleared Scramble.
It's like, I want to make a game like that. I want to make a video game that's like that someday. That's just this nice, compact 6 to 7 minute experience. And then I made, Luigi floating on an egg over the sea. I turned this set piece from Super Mario Brothers 2 into a full-on dodge 'em up, a full-on passive shmup. And it was a load of fun. Like, just trying to put these levels together. Because I didn't plan any of it. Like, it all just happened. Like, it's one of those things where you hit a moment of creative zen, and everything you're doing just feels right.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how things work with that game. Those enemy designs, like, recontextualizing these platformer enemies into, how do I make this work, but in, like, an auto-scroller kind of shmup thing. And I was able to do that, and I'm very, like, I don't know. I guess this is the first time I felt like, oh, hey, like, I actually designed the hell out of a video game, didn't I?
You did, like, a fucking full-on paced-out action game.
That's the thing that I'm most proud about. I am always, like, you hear me talk about pacing in games all the time on here. Pacing is a big thing for me. And the fact that I am not full of shit, that I know what pacing is because I made a game with a very good pace.
Fucking shmup. You made a really nice, fun, well-paced shmup, and that fucking rules.
Yeah. Like, I'm so proud of that game, despite the fact that it's tied to, Nintendo intellectual property. If you stripped all of that out...
That's living on the edge, baby.
Yeah. Like, I blatantly stole it.
But you should put what Wuzzy put on their Nintendo, their Mario fan game, and say, "Cease and desist my butthole, Nintendo."
Damn, why didn't I think of that? I'll have to remember that if I ever steal from Nintendo again, which may happen because I'm not an artist. So when I make video games, I gotta steal shit.
There's a part in the credits that says, like, most assets ripped from Nintendo,
blatantly stolen from Nintendo.
No, but I'm just like, what most? Don't you mean like 100%? Like maybe the Luigi logo?
I made the logo. I made the sound effects. Most of them. I didn't rip all of the sound effects. Yeah.
It's a pretty high concentration of ripped assets.
Yeah. Most assets are definitely stolen from Nintendo. Blatantly. And unapologetically, mind you.
Luigi's right in the name of that
Luigi's game. Like right there, front and center, literally. Yeah. But, like, yeah. I had a lot of fun making that game. I had a lot of fun just doing things that I didn't know would be humorous in that game. That when I saw people play, that's another thing. Like, I've never had people stream a game that I've made this much. Like this, I've watched probably like 8 or 9 people stream this game. So thank you very much to everybody that did. I'm glad, and everybody seemed to enjoy it, and everybody got laughs at different parts that was like that told me, you know what, I did a good here. Like, because there were just like things I wasn't sure would land, or like if things were only funny to me. Or things that were just really absurd. That's like, that's not really funny at all. Or if it's like, oh, this is like there's like a stage that literally everybody got hung up on that I thought was way easier than it was. But it's like
Stage 4 is a motherfucker.
Yeah, Stage 4. That's the one. Like, everybody gets hung up on Stage 4, and I'm just.
I almost said something in testing like, Stage 4 is pretty hard. Once we got it running at full speed, I realized like, oh, Stage 4 is really hard. Fuck.
Like, I can, like, I had no problem doing that stage, though. Like, I can't...
Arcade games need difficulty spikes. They need spikes.
Yeah.
That's the way God intended
the quarter muncher stage.
It's like, you need the get off the machine stage.
Yeah.
That's the way God intended it, and I think it's beautiful.
Yeah.
My favorite comedy moment is, like, I think it's end of Stage 5. There's a pipe with, like, a billion...
So good.
Heads coming out of it. And you're just like, what the fuck? And you
What do
back
you
up against the
do?
left, like, what the fuck? And then it stops just in time.
That's one of my favorite bits because it happened by accident, and you can see how
Oh,
it would
really?
happen. You could see how it would happen.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's literally
yeah.
just,
Set
I didn't set, I
right
forgot.
in one or something.
I literally forgot to set the cooldown timer. And when I saw that happen while I was testing the stage, I was like, no, that's really funny. I can actually use this as like the
It's
last
so
bit of the stage.
funny.
So I adjusted the timer to be a little more sensible, so that when it stopped, the pattern that it created would be enough that you could still inch through. So you'll still never get hit so long as you're at the back of the screen. But it's just like that was like the funny, like it was completely by accident. I laughed myself when I first saw it. I was like, "Ah, that's so stupid. I'm keeping it." Yeah. So yeah, I'm really happy with how that game turned out. Like, I've been in a creative rut for what I feel is probably like a year. So for that game to like just come out, so like there was no issue creating this game at all. I had no problems. Like everything I coded worked 100% of the time. It's just I don't know how. I didn't have to stop and get help for anything. I didn't have to look up anything. Everything I did, I already knew how to do, and when I tried it, it just fucking worked.
The game's really fucking good. It's so
There
fun,
was
Polly.
zero issues at all until the game was done, and then we found a big one.
Oh, yeah, then we found the big one of, oh, man, Game Maker has some really shitty fucking settings if you're not careful, and you, like, and we only figured this out because John, like, was smart, unintentionally, and recorded his playthrough, and I was just like, this game is playing, like, almost half speed. What is this? How did it take you 22 minutes to complete my 8-minute game?
This is just this was how Expanse released, Polly.
Oh,
Expanse was the
God,
same. Expanse was the same thing for me. Like that, like it was the game where it was explicitly very clearly paced action game. It just flowed from beginning to end. I didn't have any troubles making it. It was just fun and rewarding. Mm-hmm. And I released it not realizing that like half of the players are going to play like a 75% speed version.
Oh my god!
Brutal. It's updated now.
I played this at the slow speed and was just like, "Hey, this is a chill, easy game for Sayara."
Yeah, like everybody would like. I think that's why nobody said anything is because they knew I was like. I very specifically made this game for Sayara, and like I guess like both of them thought, oh, it's just really easy and slow and babyfied because little baby gamer. But no, like I know, like I made a legitimate like.
Oh, you made a really fun action game. Actually.
It's got some teeth through it.
Yep. God, that was so funny. I'm glad that all worked out, and I'm glad I've
updated
my
yeah. And we were like literally
hours.
We were literally like what a day and a half away from release, and when they were testing, and I was like, oh no, because I was literally I'm not releasing this game like this. Like if I will just cancel the release if I cannot get this game to play at full speed.
Figured it out. I figured out the numbers.
Yeah. And then we had that weird Windows issue on my end where I couldn't change the setting because I used a little bit of scaling on the text in Windows.
And you were so frustrated.
I was so mad.
Hey John, I don't fucking see that option. If you tell me to check that option again, I'm going to take my little plushy hands and beat the stuffing out of you. I was just like, just give me the project and I will do it.
Yep. And then it all worked out.
And then I went in and turned off the scaling settings forever. Yep.
Yeah.
Yamiya says, when's the All-Star remake?
When's the All-Star remake? I do want to revisit that game at some point because there is something I want to do with it, but I'm not going to be doing it immediately. Like, it is a game that I will probably update at some point. Like, and it'll be a substantial update too.
Nice.
Luigi with a gun over an egg over the ocean.
Luigi with an egg. There was something I wanted to do with the ending sequence where, like, if you got to the end and you had not taken a single hit, a heavy machine gun from Metal Slug would spawn and you could just shoot the final boss. I was gonna do that if you got there without taking a single hit, which literally nobody would get.
Nobody would get. It's hard enough to do one life hit.
Yeah, like it's hard enough to one life.
I still want to get that. I still want to snag that that one life.
There is something for no missing it.
Yeah,
yeah.
I'll get it.
I believe it.
Just like I'm gonna get a no miss Expanse at some point. I was really close to no missing Expanse, but that's because I was playing on 75% speed version. And then once I got it running again, I was like, oh no, I'm actually still very far from no missing Expanse. My high score went down. I cannot catch up to Polly now.
No, I am the master and ruler of Expanse.
Yep.
Yep. I made another game too. It was a cute little thing for a friend.
It was. I played. You mentioned I made 2 games and I immediately downloaded that one. I was like, oh shit, I forgot to play the shrimp game.
Yeah, I played a game called Junkyard Dave Eats a Lot of Shrimp, and it's just an inside joke shitpost game because he hates shrimp. So I just made I made a game about him eating a lot of shrimp. He sounded like he'd been going through a bit of a rough spot lately. So again, another one of those things where I was like, you know what, I want to make something silly for someone. That's why I made Junkyard Dave Eats a Lot of Shrimp. But it's a game where, I'm on this thing right now where I noticed that all of my games, like my last few games, have just all been like, the name of the game is what you do. So we got You Beat the Turbo Tunnel. We got Luigi floating on an egg over the sea. And we got Junkyard Dave Eats a Lot of Shrimp.
Polly, you can say it. They're light novel titles. You can say it.
They are. This is my light novel era of game making.
Luigi in another world on an egg over the sea.
Yes!
I mean, literally.
Yeah.
It is. That is the plot of Mario 2, right?
That is, yeah, it's subconscious.
Well, that depends if you define Dream World as another world. Please check the style guide. John will get it.
I retweeted one of those memes that was like isekai purist isekai, like one of those grids to find them. So I was like,
Dream World is not simply another world.
Is Inception an isekai?
Is Matrix an isekai?
That's such a dumb joke, and it always makes me laugh.
It's good.
It's like it's an isekai.
It's as good as any of the Persona 5 jokes that we continually make that aren't funny, but we continue to make them.
In Persona, you get whisked away to another world. To the dungeons. It's Persona and isekai. Did Persona 5 invent isekais?
Yes! Of course it did! Why wouldn't it?
I'm done.
Fuck. Okay, I'm good.
Okay. So yeah. That's good.
Hey, Polly.
Yeah.
You're a fucking game dev wizard expert. You have 9 fucking games on your
I do
itch page, and that is, I told you this, 9 games was the arbitrary thing I decided like 3 years ago, where I was like, if I see an itch page and it has 9 or more games, that's like 3 rows in the grid.
Yeah.
I'd be like, oh shit, this person's doing something. This person's
I'm
doing something here.
Things. I have ideas.
Because my thinking is like, okay, if somebody is prolific enough to be generating like 9 different things, then they're probably like onto something. Whatever it is, we're probably onto something. So that was like, I even made like a folder full of itch creators that had 9 or more games, and I called it Itch Power Creators.
Damn, I'm a power creator.
You're a power creator.
I'm gonna put that in my Twitter bio.
Beautiful.
Itch Power Creator, according to John Thayer. I gotta make sure I got enough characters for that.
You know, it's extremely funny. My itch page has 8 things.
Oh damn, Rhett! And like Rhett's the one that literally made like a fucking 3-year-old magnum opus, but not a consistent enough power user over here. Sorry, Rhett. I'm sorry that I'm sorry that You Beat the Turbo Tunnel is way more prolific than Hunter's Relic of the Stars.
I'm glad I got you to.
I mean, to be fair, Relic is 6 of those 8 things.
Wow. Yeah. Just like, dude, put all the Project N3 games up there. That's like
I never wanted to put those up because they stole the music. These are all like license free stuff.
Well, I don't think Itch very much cares.
I guess they don't, huh?
Because I got fucking Mario all over my shit. I use Turbo Tunnel music. You can be prolific.
When I set this up, like 5 years ago, that was the line where it's like, okay, if it uses
Ah,
music, I'm not going to put it on here.
Understandable.
interesting. You're welcome, Polly, for getting you to put Polly Mario Brothers and Happy Moosey on there.
Yeah.
Instead of them being hidden away.
I'd hidden those. Like, I didn't really hide them. I didn't know where Happy Moosey was because I think I lost the source, unfortunately. It might be on my other computer. My other computer's chilling downstairs though, so I might be able to actually find the source and like upload that. That'd probably be bad code. I'm afraid to look at it.
This is another good game I'm putting in the chat right now from my friend Tom Smizzle that he only finally put on his itch page because I kept bullying him about it.
Oh,
So,
yeah,
hey,
yeah.
where are you putting the B game? I keep replaying it, and every time I have to hunt through your Tumblr to find it again.
Oh.
Yeah, I need to post a comment on that. All right, I think Red maybe needs a little bit of a break.
Yeah, I think that'll wrap up this segment. So why don't we go ahead? We're going to take like 5-minute break. Get up, stretch out, do what you got to do, and we'll be back with that. I don't know how much show we have left, but we got.
There's one big announcement though.
One big one. All right, we'll be right back, folks. I'm back.
I'm back.
The music out of people's ears. What we need to do here? No more need for that. Be right back message. We're here. Fine.
We're back.
We
It's
back.
come.
We back. We back. All good. All right.
Keep talking for a second. I need a second.
All right. John is still wiping his butt.
John needs a moment.
Need a moment. Need a moment. Eat some toilet paper.
Thought you could just eat a Snickers,
No.
but they're not. It's not. Oh, I said the brand name.
We're fucked. Great. Got to go back and I have to edit this entire show now.
Cease and desist my butthole, Snickers.
Boom. I think that's how you can actually legally get by any C&D, as if you just, tell your lawyer to go to court and tell him to C&D your butthole.
Hey, Nintendo.
Hey, Nintendo!
Life is good.
It's okay sometimes. I'm okay with it.
I'm feeling pretty good about it right now. I'm feeling a lot better than I did last week.
Yeah. It's been a pretty good go. I have literally nothing to complain about for like the last month. Things have been exceptionally good for me, so I'm not gonna complain. I am not gonna sit here and try to act like
I have something to complain about. I just looked in the fucking mirror and jump scared myself.
I mean, that makes sense. I see a selfie of you, and I feel the same thing.
No, it's because I got a really bad haircut today.
Oh no! See, I can't even make fun of that because that's actually miserable.
I got it just buzzed, not buzz cut, but like
no,
doing the buzzer because like I realized every time they were trying to scissor cut it to be like partable, they would like leave one side like goofier so it could part it over, but then my hair just sticks up and into curls, and it would always look lopsided and bad. So I was like, just have them like evenly buzz it all around. I use one of the long guards, so it's not a buzz cut because it's still like an inch long or so. But I still look in the mirror and I'm like,
what did I do?
No, I look like a cop. I hate it.
Oh God, that's the worst.
Oh, my first thought was a Nazi, but
John, well,
got him.
Well, okay, we're there. This is where we're at now. We're 143 episodes deep. It had to happen at some point. It was gonna happen. It was just bound to happen. It's the nature. It's the nature. It's the nature of the internet.
Go ahead.
It's the nature of the internet and being in game spaces. It's fine. I'll just have to be extra adamant about censoring your gamer words from now on. Is all.
I said I looked like a Nazi, and then I immediately said, "Same difference, am I right?" Between that and the cops, and I thought you were responding to that.
Oh, I mean, sure. What is the difference?
Fighting political commentary here.
Yeah, we're just killing it. We're scorching even.
Right out of a Rage Against the Machine album.
Yeah. I found a Rage Against the Machine album. Did you know that Walmart stocks vinyl now?
No.
I only saw this like last Sunday when I went to grab a couple of things I needed for a project. And so I'm going down their electronics aisle, and I noticed that they have a selection of vinyl and vinyl players, and this just seems like the most un-Walmarty thing I can think of. Yeah. But then I start looking at the vinyls that they're carrying, and they all have like they all contain the explicit lyric stickers too, which is to my knowledge, this was very uncommon for Walmart to be doing. Like last I heard, they only stocked radio edits of albums. I saw Tyler the Creator's Igor, which was wild. Run the Jewels 4, and the wildest one of all was the debut Rage Against the Machine album. Like what? Like that album cover? I mean, let alone the band and their political leanings and how they wear that on their sleeve, but just that album cover? You're not censoring that at all? That's at a Walmart? Just really struck me. It was really striking. I didn't buy that vinyl of that album though because they remastered it a couple years ago and made it loud.
Oh, no. Oh, one of those.
Yeah, I'm not sure they did a good job on the vinyl remaster. I might buy it if I read up on it, but I don't. I didn't. I didn't want to take a chance. You don't want to take a vinyl home, and because I don't think you can return those. You open a vinyl, you're popping that packaging. They can't do anything about that. Anyway, that was my weird tangent. I'll let you know. Like, next time on updates from Walmart, I'll let you know what chips they had last time I was there. Stay tuned. The answers may shock you. John. What?
Sorry, I'm still laughing.
Oh.
It's just... What was the fucking joke before we cut? Oh, it was the fucking Persona.
It was
Is
the
Persona 5.
Yeah, the Persona 5.
Isekai?
Yeah. The Persona 5 is a Nazi, I think, was the joke.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So that segues right into the kick I've been on for the last month.
Uh-oh.
Is that it's just isekai shit. Just lots of it.
Just diving head first into that dumpster, huh?
Yep, I think I told Red at some point that like I know in the past that I jumped into media things as like a joke in my head. Like, wouldn't it be funny if I really liked this?
It never ever struck me as I'm gonna do a thing because it's fun. It always struck me as he's gonna dive into this because it's trash and he wants to live in trash. Like,
I will give John the benefit of the doubt. I think continuing on the Ruby journey actually did sound like a joke at first.
That was definitely extremely wouldn't it be fucking funny if.
I mean, it definitely got to the unironic love, but it started as a joke.
Yeah. And I think I kind of just realized that like Polly, Polly said, I don't really want to like humor that and just kind of acknowledge that like, okay, I have flavors of like garbage that I really fucking like. And I'm just kind of living that and
own that. Own it.
We get to talk about it on the podcast. Isn't that fun?
Yeah, like we'll have so much to contribute.
I know. So I was like, I think there's a part of me that wants to get deep into isekais, and I don't think that that's from wanting it to be funny. I think it's just I've been thinking about like where that's coming from. Mm-hmm. And I was thinking about like
if you were a gay man, you'd want to be into isekais. Boom, got it.
I was thinking about like Chuny stories. It's sort of like
that's your energy right there.
Uh-huh.
That's the real energy, and isekai channels a lot of that.
Oh, they live in Chuny fucking bullshit land.
Yeah, and I was thinking about like, okay, what is the difference with this shit versus other kinds of anime, other kinds of stories, like. Basically, like, why am I have barely touched any, like, straight shonen? Like, I haven't touched My Hero Academia. I haven't touched any of the big ones. I kind of want to check out, like, Hunter x Hunter. Like, for some reason, that one just looks kind of nice. And I hear
a lot of good about that one. I know nothing about it.
I don't know. It's like, if I want to... There's a part of me that wants to do, like, one of those big shonen shows, and that's one of the ones that is, like... not 700 episodes.
Yeah, I think there's a very obvious reason we're not into like the ones that are 300 episodes long.
Yeah, that matters too. But I can always like watch one season and dip. Like that's, I think I'd be fine with that.
With Bleach, I've heard that's what you're supposed to do is like watch the first 2 arcs and dip.
Bleach sounds like one of the ones that went real bad.
Oh yeah,
like,
definitely.
Even in the manga.
Yeah.
And I think the deal with Chuny stuff versus a lot of the shonen stuff I've seen, like Fullmetal Alchemist, even Dragon Ball Z, is that Chuny stuff tends to be very like romance centric. Mm-hmm. Like I think and like with Fate, like that is literally was a hentai VN about like
yes.
Was about having different roots with different girls.
Yeah, like even Steins Gate's main character is Chuny as fuck, and it's centered around, and there's a big romantic element.
Yeah. And I think a lot of shonen stuff is like a lot of it, like women just don't really play a factor at all.
No, they're there
case.
to be killed and discarded and ignored and told that they are women.
And to cheer on,
cheer on
Goku from the sideline after burying his child.
There is so much just like, and then they got married at the end, like with the female characters, like they're just there to be the prize at the end.
Mm-hmm. And Chuny shit is gross in completely different ways. Like, it's still really shitty, of course.
Right.
But it's like, still, like the way Fate, it's the Fate is centering the romance, is centering like the internal worlds of these characters, in like very intense ways. They're still subject to a gaze, that's often really gross, like with Fate and whatnot. But it's a very different flavor from like just how My Hero Academia sounds to me, basically. Or like Full Metal Alchemist. Like, that's like my favorite thing that even kind of fits into that mold. Mm-hmm. But in that show, like it's very much like a boys club show, I think. The way a lot of it plays out, I kind of felt that very intensely trying to watch it with my watch buddy, who we watched like a bunch of romance shows and rom-coms together. And then we tried watching FMA, and I was like, oh, this is a very different energy.
The weird thing I've heard about FMA is that, and I kind of agree with this, is that there are more girls in the Brotherhood version of the story, that play a prominent role. And the author is a woman, so that kind of tracks. Yeah,
the FMA, it's especially rough because it's like multiple plot lines, like 3 plot lines in the first like 8 episodes about serial killers killing women.
Yeah.
And it's like, Jesus, okay. While the boys are they're off solving things to the side. Yeah. Like, okay, here's our story.
The original show especially was just, we are going to focus on these 2 brothers and everybody else is kind of on the side.
Yeah.
Also, it's an isekai. Reverse isekai.
Oh my god, you're right. Fuck. Stupid. Oh my god, you got me. So that's just what I've been thinking. I was just thinking about it a lot, trying to like parse out what was appealing to me about these. And I think it's that combination of being built in a romance is really nice for me, because I'm ultimately like really sappy and I like that shit a lot. Mm-hmm. While also having the really dope Chuny action is just like my favorite. That's my favorite combo. And a lot of the Chuny stuff is really good at kind of grounding it in stakes, which good shonen is good at too. So the 3 things here that we've got are that Cecile was reading a bunch of Familiar of Zero, the original light novel, because that is like the formative isekai of the genre, and it has like a full fan translation online, and was reading along with it and having a really fun time. And I was already like interested because I read that article I shared with y'all about like so much of the shows that are being adapted right now are descended from this like one Naro novel posting site, like their AO3 basically. And that's really cool to me, because it recontextualizing the glut of isekai bullshit in anime as being like, oh, a bunch of people on this amateur fan fiction site are getting their stories adapted into anime inexplicably is just viscerally very charming to me. Mm-hmm. And then finding out that a bunch of them started off as like fanfics of like these 1 or 2 specific stories, and Familiar of Zero is one of them. So she was reading the books and having a really good time, and then I wound up watching the first season of the show with her, and I had a really good time because it's like an older show, so it adapts around things to actually have like a satisfying conclusion and whatnot. And this was a very funny one, because with all of these, there's some really weird, fucked up element to how the romance is handled, and in this one, it's that the girl's extremely mean.
That's always a pleasure.
She's so mean, because the premise is that this boy is sucked into her world as her familiar. So she does the familiar summoning ritual, and everyone else gets like a cool dragon or like a pet mouse that has magic powers and whatnot.
And she just gets a boy. She just gets
just
fuck boy.
Just this kid from Japan, and everybody's like, haha, you suck. And she's already like really angry because she can't do magic really, and everybody constantly makes fun of her for it. And then suddenly she just has this boy she has to take care of, which is also a symbol of a big failure. And she just treats him like shit. And it's a romance, and then they kiss at the end, and it's like,
What?
it's very funny. Like, I don't, there's a part of my brain that was like, you'd almost think I would be, like, kind of triggered by some of this shit.
Maybe
But
a little
nope.
bit. Maybe a little
But
bit.
nope. It's just really, really fun. Like, I pointed out, like, the one thing that, like she deprives him of food and beats him with a riding crop. And it's all played for laughs. It's so weird. But the one bit was, like, when he's muttering under his breath, and then, like, he thinks that she's behind him and flinches, like, I'm sorry. And I was like, oh, too real.
Oh, yeah. A little too grounded there.
The light novel sounds really lovely. It sounds like it also has that element, like, very intensely. And then they have scenes where he just does really, really cool chuny shit, because he has this one cool power where he can wield, like, any weapon, like, have proficiency in any weapon that he touches. That's his power and shit. And the lady and Louise has her own power. And the way the whole dumb romance played out, and the way the powers all played out, it wound up being, like, really kind of sweet, and it made me happy, and it was badass. And then I was kind of thinking, like, okay, it was cool also seeing, like, the sort of prototypical versions of a lot of these tropes that you would go on to see and stuff like Re:Zero.
I was just thinking, the way you describe this is like,
Re:Zero.
she summons a boy with no powers, and I'm just like, it's fucking Re:Zero. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, that was the first thing that came to mind.
Hey, Rhett, Re:0, published on this site, might be related, might have some stuff in common with Familiar of Zero. The big one is that in Re:Zero, the wife is nice.
Yeah, that's a huge difference. That's kind of the show's fault, is that all the girls are super nice and forgiving of his bullshit. But Louise is just the other extremely polar opposite.
Like, I think that the girls in Re:Zero need to have a little bit of anger for how entitled this motherfucker is.
Yeah, she is the total of 180.
Yeah.
There's a word I have for her that I won't say. Yes.
Is it cunt? Is the word cunt?
Cunt.
Okay, the word is cunt.
It's the complete opposite, where this boy just, like, puts up with it. It's still ultimately, like, pretty devoted to her, and it's sort of inexplicable. And he just kind of is endlessly patient and sweet, and she is the project. So it's completely different vibe from, like, Re:Zero.
Right.
I watched, like, half the second season so far. They changed directors for the second and third season, and I feel like there's a slight vibe change, like, right away, because the main boy immediately gets way more horny.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So, like, the first season's a very nice standalone thing. If just watching this girl, like, treat him like shit can make you laugh, like it obviously did me.
I mean, this show was all over the place back in the day when we were, like... When I was diving deep back into anime again, like in, like, 2006, 2010, the show was all over the place, so I know it.
This show is from 2006. That's, like, the era of anime original ending.
Yeah.
I have never heard of this show until, like, last month. It is completely off my radar.
I remember when you sent me this list of, like, anime you're planning to watch soon, and I was just like, the fuck is Familiar of Zero? I'm not even going to mention that one. I don't like that show. And then that's the one you just immediately watched, like, the same day you started watching it.
Cecile finished the light novels and really had a good time. I don't know if I can follow her down that track, because, like, a chunk of them are machine translated.
Oh, no.
And I'm like, That can't be my first light novel journey. That can't be my first long light novel journey.
No.
They're still like edited by a person. Like they look readable from
Okay.
all the excerpts she's posted, including from machine translated chapters. But oof. She still had a great time. The rough thing, those books finished. The author died in 2013.
Yeah, it's a really unfortunate story.
Mm-hmm. Like right near the end of writing it.
Yeah.
So the last two, he like dictated notes from his hospital bed.
Oh, wow.
He died of cancer, and it was really, really prolonged and unfortunate.
Mm-hmm. And they ghost wrote the last 2 volumes from those notes. But yeah, there's so much history there, and that it all plays into this larger history of light novels, light novel adaptations, web fiction, fan fiction, all for this dumb fucking show.
Isekai.
And at one point, I think I joked to either Red or Cecile. I was like, I can enjoy both Rance and Syl and Luis and this boy, and that's because I'm a feminist.
It was definitely Cecile. I hadn't heard that one.
So I had a really fun time with that.
Can I say one other thing? Sorry.
Go for it.
There's one other thing that struck me catching up on like the legacy of the show is that there are 4 seasons of anime.
Mm-hmm.
I knew there were at least 2 because I dropped it, and then I knew at some point they'd made more. The other thing is season 1 is 2006, and then, season 2, season 3, season 4. Season 4 is 2012. It aired the same season as Symphogear season 1.
Passing the baton of great art.
That's why there's this merch of double-sided anime poster. One side is Familiar of Zero, and one side is Symphogear. They briefly crossed in the night. But also the fact that this got 4 seasons, I was just like, geez, really? And apparently all of them end as like, maybe it's the last season we're going to get to make, so we're going to do a little anime original ending.
So laughing because there's so many good faces. It's just from that era where they're just really good faces constantly.
I think isn't that more of a director thing, I would say?
Yeah, that's more of a director, key animator kind of thing.
Because, like, Konosuba has extremely good faces.
Konosuba's got faces for days.
Mm-hmm.
They tell them on purpose, go fucking wild with this.
Yeah, it doesn't take... There are some things that'll really get me to just enjoy a show, and good faces are a big one. Like, I got that from Precure for sure, for sure. So I was looking down this list of Naro-K light novel adaptations, that the shows that were started off as being from this this one AO3-esque website, and I just looked down the list and I was like, I recognize like all of these, like ReZero, the spider. So I'm a spider in another world. So what? I'm a slime. So I reincarnated as a slime. The Ascendance of a Bookworm.
Oh my god, the one I'm into.
Fucking like redo of Healer, like bullshit. And then one of those jumped out at me because it had an extremely striking title.
Oh god, are we really talking about this?
It's like the best fucking media. It's like my favorite fucking media I've engaged in the last month. So
it's game of the year.
So I want to talk about this, but I think we can drop a little content warning again.
Okay, content warning. Go.
Every single fucking podcast.
Say it.
So this is a story that has a lot of depictions of rape in it, and it gets kind of smutty in parts of it.
Yeah, it's a John Thayer segment. Don't worry.
Sorry.
Just your typical John Thayer segment. Welcome.
Okay, so this is J.K. Hara is a sex worker in another world.
Yeah, which is like I'm interested, but now I know there's like, oh, cool, it's all rape. Great.
I was very close to actually buying this on Amazon.
Yeah, now I'm just kind of like, well, maybe I don't.
And I read the descriptions of like, hey, the first like entire half of this is extremely, extremely, extremely rough.
So I posted when I started, I was like, hey, you know when something could either be like really nice and well observed, or like just a total fucking dumpster fire.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then I was like a third in, and I posted, I'm kind of leaning towards dumpster fire.
Right.
And then near the end, it really pulled me back in. I wanna. It's just a very weird thing because it is that. Like, there's just a lot of I think a lot of the reviews kind of try to underplay that, and be like, oh no, it's actually da 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 da. But there is just like a lot of like grody, violent smut throughout it. This is a light novel, by the way. This is a standalone light novel. And it was the first, like, I read the first Konosuba, and then I read this, and then this was kind of like, oh shit, because it wasn't hasn't been adapted into anything I saw. It was just like its own standalone isekai book that I just fucking adored. And I was like, oh shit, maybe I could do this light novel thing, which is exciting because that's something that's a person I have seen myself being for a long time. But it's a very striking title because the premise on the back is literally like, this dumbass otaku at school tried to save me from a car hitting me and wound up getting us both killed.
Great.
And then we reincarnated in another world, and he got a bunch of bullshit cheat skills that he's using to adventure, and I got nothing. So the only way I can get by in this shitty, awful, misogynist isekai world is working as a sex worker.
You gotta work with the assets you got.
Yes. And it's very funny because I did have a friend actually read the book, and then we just talked about it for a fucking hour about all the stuff we liked. It's one of those things where like, one of the big turns is a lot of what kind of brings it around for me. I guess I could kind of just say, but that's the basic thrust of it, is just kind of her day to day in this environment, and then,
she's getting the basic thrust of it a lot. Boom,
and then,
boom.
She explicitly is, and the way that she's forming like these various connections and her inner voice, she's extremely sarcastic and funny and strong. I think something that helps a lot for me throughout it is the way that she just a lot of like, there's a lot of shitty customers basically, is a lot of what people are talking about with the first half being rough, but it's not like she's it's not so much like suffering porn, I guess. It's a lot of the time she's like just making fun of these shithead meatheads,
like limp dick macho men couldn't satisfy a woman if they tried.
Yeah, a lot of it is like, God, you're boring.
Yeah.
And I repeatedly felt attacked reading a lot of that. So I was like, oh God. So that it cut to some insecurities there I felt was evidence of some power to its approach.
Right.
And then in the back half, it focuses even more on kind of her building relationships with the other people. It has like her kind of sad backstory. It has things come to a head in a very major, potent, hard to read way. And then there's just this extreme explosion of catharsis that has to do with the way that the thing plays with isekai tropes.
Right.
And the way that it basically like turns everything around and just has this like really strong message. Just the way that it handles that, the shithead otaku boy, and the way that he's dismantled like in a very grounded way. It really hit me in a really gut way. Like there's a point where I just put down the book, and for just like 5 minutes I just kind of had to cry, like in a really ugly cry way. And like it feels like a lot of the porny parts are like a way of drawing in a specific audience,
right?
And then the back half and the meat of the book is about giving that audience the message they probably need to hear more than anything else in the world.
And didn't want to hear it, judging from the
Yeah.
reviews. Ha
Yeah, I got a lot of people mad at the reviews. But I think that because for it being too rad femme trash.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Why does a woman want respect? What the fuck is the deal?
Pretty much that. So like I think that it got that many negative responses is sort of evidence of it like successfully getting people who are like, oh, I'll read the horny story about the sex worker and another isekai. I'll read that, yeah.
Yeah.
And then getting blindsided by like, what do you mean women are people? Oh God. I don't know if I would necessarily call this like something that I think everybody needs to read. On account of it's full of grody, violent smut. Like, it's sort of tricky to. I'm glad it's not an anime. Like,
yeah.
Oh my God.
Because I don't know how you can adapt this. There's a manga, and I don't even know how you adapt this into a manga and have it not like dip way too far into the smut. Like it toes a very weird line, for me. Where it feels very grounded in what the story needs to be doing in the book format.
Right.
I think in anime format it would just need to be too like titillating.
Yeah.
And I think that would work against it.
Titillating does not sound like what this is trying to be in the end.
No, it isn't. So I don't know. I think excuse me. I don't think this is necessarily the message everyone in the world needs to go on and hear. I think if you're the kind of person that would grab a light novel full of rapey smut that's an isekai, then this is like I said, kind of the best possible version of the way the theming. Like I think I finished it and I was kind of like, oh, that was like the best H manga I've ever read, like politically and cathartically.
Right.
So it felt very like important to me in terms of how it played with these tropes and spun things around in a very cool way, and because it was just a light novel that's soaked in these tropes, soaked in like chuny stuff, and then also is like soaked in feminist theming. It was like that was very nice for me. That was something I hadn't really found yet, because like I'm at a point where like with like ReZero, I really liked watching that show, but I feel kind of similarly as Polly, I think, with regard to how a lot of that, the romance and whatnot, is handled.
The entitlement really fucking bothers me.
Yeah. And obviously I've engaged with a lot of other stories like this, so thinking the perspective of this was really nice for me. So it's, if any of that sounds appealing, I liked it a lot. I liked it a whole lot. I already had one friend get to it. I think I've got one more in the queue. I'm not desperate for anyone to read this if they don't want to read it. Don't read it if this doesn't sound appealing. But boy, I just fucking loved it. Beyond that, I've just read the first 3 volumes of Konosuba now, and I just fucking love Konosuba, y'all.
Konosuba's great. Those characters are just so fucking enduring. They're so like, despite the fact that they're the worst assholes, they're so lovable.
I feel like Konosuba is just like my favorite sitcom.
Yeah,
like
I think that's a good way to put it.
Seinfeld in another world.
It's like doing all this isekai stuff. It's just, but like as a dopey sitcom with these great characters, and I think that rules. I'm in this stuff. I'm in the meat of season 2 now. I have volume 6 and 6 is when it starts being unadapted material.
Yeah.
So I'm very excited for that. And God, I love Darkness. She's so good.
I like Megaman. I think she's like the most fun for me.
They have a spin-off light novel about her.
Yeah, like they did a whole movie about her.
Mm-hmm. The movie adapts volume 5.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Maybe I don't know if maybe it pulls it from the prequel one that's about her, but yeah. But I'm very excited to follow this story through to its conclusion because the last 3 aren't out yet over here.
Yeah.
But they're fan translated, so I feel like if I just keep buying them and reading them, and I get to the end, I'll just read the fan translations of the last 3 and buy them as they come out.
And I'll just borrow them from you.
Perfect.
All right, that works. Hey, ask Cecile if she needs that copy of Psychono Volume 7 too.
Oh,
She never got back to me about that after the 15th, so I don't know what happened.
Okay. Yeah, so I think Konosuba is going to be the one where I can't do a machine translated.
Yeah, like you
novel.
need that personality. You need the writing to have a little bit of attention to it because you're dealing with nuanced comedy. You're dealing with nuanced personalities that the comedy is in how these people are assholes and or completely inept.
Mm-hmm. Oh my god, they're so funny. And I think one more thing is that when Konosuba does have like action set pieces, it's like it makes them they're actually like really good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But they do it in such an effortless way that you don't notice it. You're just enjoying the great jokes.
Yeah.
Like I got to the finale where just the finale, like where they fight the Headless Horseman, when they fight the mechanical fortress.
Mm-hmm.
Like if those were in shows that were played completely straight, they could still be pretty badass.
Yeah.
And then Konosuba just like does that so effortlessly that you don't even really notice that it's doing that, and then works in just constant jokes, just constant great jokes. Just like they're holding the bomb that's going to explode, and she says, I have to teleport somewhere, but I can't teleport it to a popular place. I can do random teleport it randomly. It'll be fine. I take responsibility.
It's great. Like you have to love it. Like it's begs to be laughed at.
It begs to be laughed at.
I would say the movie.
Yeah.
The movie goes so hard at the end.
Yeah.
Even though it didn't have to.
Even though it didn't have to!
So those are my 2 journeys of the last month. Just a shit ton of RPGs, and then just
a shit ton of isekai.
Isekais, light novels. I might be a light novel person.
Yeah, might be. You did write one.
I think that's part of it. Is that I kind of you said that, and it got. The way things do sometimes.
Things get stuck in your head when somebody says something.
Stuck in my craw.
Right? It gets stuck in your craw. Huh?
Got stuck in my craw, and then I was like, well, fuck, maybe I really like light novels. Where can I get more stuff like what I wrote? Because what I wrote was extremely good.
Yeah.
And I'd like more like that.
Yeah.
And then I was like, that was like the thing with J.K. Hara is like, oh shit, it's not just doing the Chuny stuff, it's Chuny and the feminist theming stuff. And I was like, oh, that's kind of what I was trying to do a little. I like feeling like part of a larger tradition. So it feels like, and also J.K. Hara doesn't have illustrations. Yeah. And I was like, oh, you don't have to do that. You don't have to.
No,
have those.
You don't.
You
no, it's. I mean, I think that people do it because obviously, it's sort of the tradition, but I don't think it's in any way required.
You can see it's not required.
As far as I can tell, like when they publish on that one self-publishing like AO3 site, like there's no illustrations, and then they will just get licensed to do a proper like print run, and then they do illustrations.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It looked like I found the original website where J.K. Hara was published on there, and it looked like they were published over the course of a month, which was.
I mean, it is pretty short.
Yeah.
Which was, I mean, it's like twice as long as the Konosuba volumes I have. It was like 200 something pages. But I was like, writing that in a month was like, oh my god, that's inspiring. All right, that's it. That's my everything.
Cool.
Thanks for listening, y'all.
Okay.
Rhett.
So I don't have anything else because I thought we were kind of only doing one loop around this time.
Oops.
So I will here's my addendum to the last thing. I looked on that list of like things that have been like published and adapted from that free novel site. So this is the title that caught my eye.
Uh-oh.
The world's finest assassin gets reincarnated in another world as an aristocrat. That's the title.
I feel like you could just use Mad Libs to write these things at this point.
That one sounds Mad Libsy.
But here's the best part. Okay, novel series, July 2018. And then on the free website. Light novel, 2019. 6 volumes. Manga, January 2019. That was actually a little bit sooner. So I was like, okay, this one doesn't have an anime because I've never heard of it.
It's gonna get one.
Anime television series,
Well,
October 6th, 2021.
There we
It's
go.
starting the next season.
How wild does that have to feel to go from like writing something on basically fanfiction.net to having your own full scale? Like, Rhett, you've been like, what are you doing?
It's better than sex.
It's better
I can imagine
sex,
it's
right?
better than sex. John, could you imagine like your novel?
Yeah, I thought about it a lot. I thought about what it would look like, what these scenes would look like in like anime format a lot.
I mean, I thought that they were envisioned like that as you were writing them because it's how they read to me.
But it's being envisioned.
Yeah.
Sex is great, but have you had your light novel adapted into an anime?
Yes. My God, there's so many. A regular Magic High School, Rising of Shield Hero, like almost every.
I've heard of all these. Yeah.
All of these are from AO3. All of these are 50 Shades of Grey.
There's one on that list that I had is actually a really good movie called I Want to Eat Your Pancreas, and it's not what it sounds like.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I saw that one. Like, wait a minute, isn't that like one of those classy movies?
Oh, that one's actually good. Yeah, it's not an isekai. It's like the only thing on that list I was like, definitely not an isekai.
I'm looking at the list again.
So,
all right.
I just watched a lot of anime, but we already talked about all the anime.
Cool.
I just can't believe I picked one at random and it happens to be getting an anime in a week and a half.
That's
like, are you kidding me? There's just...
What the fuck is this one that's just called My Isekai Life? Okay, it's My Isekai Life, I gained a second character class and became the strongest sage in the world.
Oh my God. Some of these titles are so ridiculous. Like, I hit max level by killing slimes for 500 years. Like, did I make that up or not? You'll never know.
No, that's real.
Spin-off light novels.
I saw a review
anime
for
TV.
that one.
They just get so...
That would be a good segment, is making them up and then mixing them in with real ones.
No, making
Mad
Mad
Libs.
Libs.
Ones are beyond parody.
Making Mad Libs and then doing those live, and those are the names of the books.
I feel like,
and also this is why all of them have the same setting.
Yep.
Which becomes really obvious once you've watched a couple. Like, wait a minute. Oh, another Demon King, huh?
Yeah.
I feel like the Mad Libs game will never produce something as funny as Sex Worker in Another World.
There's a reason that one jumped out at me.
Yeah. Like, that's kind of one where I just like...
That's just like...
It might have turned out a little weird and bad in some places, but that's one where it's just like, I'm interested. I think that's okay. I would take a stab at writing something like that. It would probably be fun.
Yeah, I think
that there's a really fun and horny way to write that story.
I think it's probably the story. To be honest, like, I think it's like I want it to be clear about what's in it, but like it feels extremely purposeful and smart to me. I really liked it.
Okay.
I think that leaves Polly.
Okay. So this doesn't really fly well if you're listening to the audio version. But to people watching the video version of the podcast right now, they see what I'm about to announce and have been looking at it for the last 2 hours. I accidentally became a VTuber.
Yeah, this is a joke, even though you didn't have to.
Yeah, right.
Wouldn't it be funny if?
What?
I said, wouldn't it be funny if?
Yeah, so that's the thing. Like, the last year, it's just been a constant joke of, haha, Polly the VTuber. And, I get it. Like, I made what some people may consider disparaging remarks about VTubers, which is never meant to be disparaging, more of the idle side of things, where that's the commentary I was trying to make. I've always thought that VTubers are pretty cool because, like, I've always seen that like, oh, that's probably a really neat way someone with anxiety could express themselves online and have like an online presence where they normally wouldn't in a world where everybody's got to have fucking a webcam up in your stream all the time. This is like even back in the Kazuna Eye days, which it's not something I engaged with, but it was always something I looked at and thought, that's a really, really cool and interesting thing. And when that becomes more available to people, it's going to be an interesting thing. And since then, we've absolutely seen that happen, where, you know, like, it's obviously exploded at the corporate level with stuff like HoloLive and other corp-based VTubers that are following that idle format. But you also have, like, indie VTubers where they're kind of not adhering to those really strict guidelines or those really strict behaviors, tropes, and things like that. So watching all of this kind of balloon over the last few years has been interesting. And like I said, for the last year, the joke has been, haha, Polly's going to be a VTuber. And, like, probably 3 or 4 months ago is when I started thinking, well, what if I just did it? What if I fucked around and turned myself into a VTuber somehow? And it went through a lot of incantations of the idea of, like, oh, okay, I'll do it as an April Fool's joke. Then literally everybody was doing that as an April Fool's joke, so I killed it. I had something set up and everything. Like, and it was all based on the original stick Polly, which was used in The Adventures of Pat and Polly. And sort of the idea was always to just kind of like, okay, like, what's the logical endpoint? And then, like, Sayara introduced the idea of doing a ping tuber, where when you talk, it switches between 2 images. He did that on his last stream, and it was really great, because he's got, like, this cute Muppet avatar now out of it. And while looking at all of that and stuff, I started to get these visions of, like, okay, what if Stick Polly could animate, and I could just put her in the corner? Wouldn't that be funny? Wouldn't that be a silly thing to do? And the more that I kept thinking about it, the more it came back to, like, what if I just went whole hog on this thing and got a live 2D model rigged? And luckily for us, I happen to know somebody in our group who is a VTuber and did do all of her own modeling work and all of her own rigging. So I got in touch with her and was just like, what is the feasibility that we could turn my stick figure into one of these cute little avatars? Because there's no other way this could work. Like, I couldn't come out with, like, some anime girl avatar and this work. It would not be honest. Because it's not what I would do. Like, it's not what anybody associates with me. Like the stick figure Polly has always been very enduring. It's always been, like since 2009, it's been a facet of how I've represented myself. Yeah. Like, I always represent myself as a stick figure with a big dopey smile and red hair with an orange carrot like highlight.
I mean, if you really think about it, you were the original VTuber.
I never really did anything like that, though.
But you've, like you said, you've had this avatar for over a decade.
Like, this avatar,
it would be crazy to just be like, hey, this is the new Polly.
Stick Polly has existed for, since 2005, technically.
Mm-hmm.
So
I mean, I think it's a testament to how enduring the symbol is that we played Guardy Party twice, and half of the drawings
are like, hey,
Polly in them.
This is when
that was me.
Yeah, but this is when I those Gardic phone things were like when I knew I was kind of just like, you know what, I'm about to blow people's minds with this, I think. Because I'm sitting there and literally one of them was Polly's VTuber debut, and I'm sitting there like, if they only knew what was going on behind the scenes right now, they'd fucking flip. So it just got stuck in my craw, and it became this logical endpoint of something. It's just like, you know what? I actually, it went from a thing that was just, going to be a one-off joke to just be like, haha, I'm going to get you all for saying the thing all the time, to when I was working with Melly, twitter.com/sweetsparade, she's the one that did all of the art and rigging for my model that you are looking at if you're watching on Twitch or YouTube right now. When we were working on the final details of it last Saturday evening, and then she calls me up and put on the headphones, and on my screen pops up my goddamn animated avatar, and she's talking through it, and at that moment I knew that this wasn't a joke. This is a thing I actually want to use to help express myself a little more. to have like to do little fun things with. I think it adds something. It adds a new little cool thing to what we're doing, and the fact that like I've always kind of thought that VTubing was a great way for people to express themselves in ways where they feel they couldn't because they're not comfortable putting themselves out there in that way. I get to do so with this really cool, like, culmination of this stick. It started as a stick figure. It morphed into a plushie. And now it is a VTuber that is a plushie stuck in the internet. And that happened completely by accident too. The story of like the little, because you gotta have a cute little gimmick, right, for your VTuber. Yeah. It's got to be a cute little fun thing. Of course. So, like when I shot the test, when I got home and I set up the camera and stuff to do the tracking, and I set up a test video, I just started recording and I put myself in a video over a picture of my website in a browser, and I just said, "I'm stuck on the internet," and I was just like. That's fucking it. That's the end. That's how this all works. I'm a plushie that got stuck in the internet. And again, Melly did an incredible job of like replicating like the way that the plushie looks. The way that it moves feels very plushie-like. The fact that it doesn't blink is really cute. Like that was a very intentional design decision because it's like, but it's also like, okay, well if you can't blink, why'd your mouth move? I'm sorry, I'm not taking questions at this time. It's another fun, dumb little joke I get to add to the, like, little instances like that. So, it all happened by accident, but it became, like, very purposeful by the end. Like, when I'm giving somebody money to rig up a live 2D model, that's when it's just like, yes, I am that type of person that will go that far for a big, dumb joke. But then it's just like, no, like, this actually is going to become something... like much cooler, I think. Like this goes far beyond a joke. Now it's a really cool thing. Yeah. So I'm one of those.
Fantastic.
I'm a VTuber. It's weird.
I think that's really nice, Paulie. I feel like you've I mean, this has been kind of a long journey, right? Of like various forms of expressing yourself more online, just like that original stream when we did our podcast. Like, yep. It was like, oh, I will talk online.
Yeah, like that's very scary for the first time.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, and for somebody like I'm never gonna put my picture out there, but this is a great way to facilitate that same kind of familiarity because this is an image that everybody's familiar with, and now that it's like moving and animated. And talking. It's got my voice. It's got my sense of humor. It's got cute little props I can play with. It's like, it's perfect. Like, it being the culmination of 16 years just feels great. And again, the fact that I got to work with another artist in the community, like, that's always a big thing for me. Like, I hate, like, when I commission artists, I don't like saying, like, they worked for me. I want to say I worked with them. Which is why I let Melly have some control over the outfit and the way the hair was going to look, is because I want to work with her because I like her style and it fit. Like, as soon as I imagined what a poly VTuber might look like, she came to mind first because yes, she's done her own rigging before, but also like when we got to the idea of just like copying the plushie, her art has a very soft, almost plushie-esque vibe to it in and of itself.
Yeah.
And when I imagined like a little avatar talking and moving in the corner of a screen, she reached in and pulled that exact image out that I wanted. So when we're setting up, it was just like literally it only took like one draft to get exactly what I wanted. We made two changes, which was just lengthening the hair and giving the outfit sleeves and a turtleneck. And, like, that was really it. Like, everything else just came together, like, in a perfect freaking storm. And here we are, the new future, where I talk through this cute little... this cute little Polly. This cute little Polly plushie. That has a lot of history behind it. And I think that, for me, that just makes it mean a lot more. Because like I said, I couldn't have trotted out some anime girl avatar and this worked. I don't think it reads as honest. So it being able to like be the plushie, like that was always the plan. It's just like I want it to be either the stick figure or the plushie, so I get to marry them together in a really fun way. So yeah,
I think it's so fucking nice. Just when I saw it on Saturday, I was immediately like, "Oh shit, yes! Oh my god, yes! Perfect."
Yeah, I did a debut stream last night when VTubers are hitting the scene. I guess it's customary for them to debut. I wasn't going to do it until Iffy was like, "No, you got to do a debut stream. You got to let people know." Of course,
Iffy.
You got to know. You got to let people know who you are. And I'm just like, well, I do when something is big and stupid. Those are my two primary motivating factors. So, like, okay, if I'm gonna do a debut, I'm gonna just throw myself into it. And I spent the last week putting together that presentation we did last night, and I rehearsed it Friday night too. I rehearsed it.
You went big, even though you didn't have to.
I went big, even though I didn't have to. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. That's an episode. Fuck. That's too good. How do I not end on that? How do you not end on that?
That's good.
Jesus. That's good.
My dog died today. Let's go.
My dog died today.
Where's the chat?
You realize that's a Hololive meme, right?
Yeah, I know it's a Hololive meme.
Okay.
You've been watching a ton of the Rat Girl, right?
I'm not a ton. I do watch her though. Like she, like I think she is my favorite personality.
Mm-hmm.
I think like that. Like I've never actually clicked personality wise with many of these. I did like Rainey's playthrough of Virtue's Last Reward. That was good. Like she proved to be a very fun personality, just because she's a gigantic dork that quacks like a duck to the theme songs. she says
good.
She maps her way through songs. It's great.
That is good.
Yeah. So. Yeah, I guess you could say that, like, sort of like a kind of like finding a Hololive character that, like, that I liked, and then like all of this stuff over the past few weeks of people, Polly's gonna be a VTuber, stuff like that. It all kind of culminated into this perfect storm of like, let's just make it happen. And the moment that, like I said, when Melly called me and was talking through the avatar herself, it all just clicked. It's like, okay, yeah, this was the right call. Like, I know that this is something I really want to do. So, and I'm just so nice. And it's just here to be something to add fun. I'm not here for fame or anything. I don't want to be like, I have no aspirations here. Like, cause I said, like I said last night, everything we're doing is just stuff I do on stream already. I'm not changing anything. There are some things that I might do that are a little different than normal that were inspired by, but they're gonna have my own spin on them. Just silly little things you might see here and there. Look, I'm a shit poster at heart. You know I'm going to be doing some stupid shit. You saw the dumb Anthony Fantano thing I did. I assume. Yeah, I posted that on Twitter earlier.
Yes, I saw that was the album review.
Yeah, the album review thing.
Oh,
yeah. I did a funny, because I remember Sayara did a cover with me as Anthony Fantano, and I was just sort of like paying that off with by doing a little shit post about it. So.
All right, gotta make a little spider ping tuber so that we can.
There you go.
Collab play.
Oh my god.
Ultra Despair Girls.
All right, we can do that. I will, John.
Finally.
I will absolutely guest host on your stream if you want to stream Ultra Despair Girls. I will bring my model along and we will have a good time.
I'm a spider that got stuck in the internet.
You're a spider that got stuck in the internet.
Life is good.
Poncho in here thinking I'm going to do a karaoke stream. Yeah, buddy. Yeah, buddy.
Unarchived karaoke.
Yeah, but get right on that. All right.
Good episode.
Yeah,
I missed y'all.
This was a good one. Like I said up front, I said that we were due for a good episode, and check it out. It happened. We did.
I thought this was going to be a short episode. Apparently not.
No, we went about as long. Like if you would have had another
3 hours.
It's always 3 hours. Yeah.
A lot of John there.
Give him
John.
We front loaded a lot of John. Whole lot of John there on the front. That's fine though. It worked out.
Don't worry. He's got a lot in the back too.
He's got a lot. Yeah. Apparently he sits on people or whatever. Said he was big. I don't know.
I'm just tall. I'm just
Okay.
tall. I'm just tall. I feel like I could flop over like a domino and you just crumble.
Just like your patented noodle technique. The patented fire noodle. It runs in the family. It's passed down by generations.
Sockscast always has a satisfying length, just like something else.
Boom!
Do y'all know what that could be?
A foot-long hot dog? Because, man,
Yep,
I'm
that's
very
the one.
hungry right now.
God, I am too.
You know what
I
else?
love y'all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I am really hungry too.
Yeah, we're all very hungry, so we are gonna get the. See, I'm gonna move this lime over here. I'm gonna move the lime. I'm doing visual comedy. Oh no, it's layered wrong. Never mind.
No.
The joke doesn't work. It goes up behind the character. Oh well. It's all ruined.
I'm gonna eat and read fucking light novels.
I'm
I
gonna.
have, I have like multiple ones stacked up that I
Oh,
bought
right.
and never read.
Yeah.
I'm very jazzed.
Good. John Thayer, tell the internet folks at home where they can find you.
Farawaytimes.itch.io.
Right.
Crunchyroll.com/SimpleGear.
That's still where you're hanging out.
I'm never leaving.
You're never leaving. It's going to be your permanent home of residence. You can find me on my dumb website, of course. Thanks again, everybody, for coming out. You all are absolutely beautiful. We will catch you next time. And remember, we are the podcast that loves you. We are the only ones that love you. Okay. I'm going to send you all on over to Viruse, who is streaming Ninja Gaiden. And I'm going to get out of here. I might be streaming tomorrow. Might be streaming some game stuff. Just keep an eye on the old Twitter. You'll know.
I'm done.
All right.
I'm done. Bye.
We out of here. We're hungry.
Hungry.
I'm hungry.
I'm hungry.
Bye
Bye.
bye.
Seriously, bye.
Y'all.
Bye.